Evening, everybody. DJ Styles, your Custom Corpse. Put the phone into the stand. There we go. Get this thing right the way it's supposed to be. All right, we're going to zoom in. I'm working on the ear. My stand's broke. It's not making life easy here. Come on. I got to get a new stand. I need a new stand. Oh my God. I can't get the tripod to be perfectly level because, there we go, it's a little better. Not much. All right. A couple things I got to do. Be right back. I have to go get a shirt on. And I'm also going to put my picture up on my computer that I'm actually using to do the ears. As you can see, the ear that you can see on the camera here has been altered to look like the real deal. Okay, so give me a second here. I need my picture up. I'm not going to... Yeah, wait a minute. What am I thinking? I got to do that. I need the pitch right. Come on, open up. It's not opening quick. I'm going to open up my YouTube channel. Okay. Give me a second. I'm sizing my photo here. And I want to make sure that I'm working on the other side now. Okay, so now we need to open up YouTube. Come on. Everything's real finicky here right now. So I can read your comments. Oop, we don't want music. Stop already. Nope, we don't want that. Need to go to my channel. Oh, they've changed things a little bit in here. I haven't been on in a long time, guys, so give me a second here. Huh, wait a minute. Okay, right here. All right, I'm here, guys. I'm here. All right, I'm here, guys. I'm here. We got to turn that volume down. Okay. How can I do this? I need to shrink this a little bit. Okay, now you can hit the chat. You guys can hit me up on the chat. London Moore, are you out there? Hopefully you're on. I see one person's on. Give me a second. I'm going to go put a shirt on, and then I'm going to sit down and start sculpting the other ear. Okay, I'm back, guys. All right, let's get this chair. I've got my Michael Myers mask on, and I can see that, or my shirt on, not my mask. I've got my Myers shirt on, as you can see in the camera. All right. Okay, I'm going to show you guys what I've done to the ear on this side. Let me turn it so it's facing the camera straight at you. All right. Now that looks more like the real deal as far as the way it pitches and then bulges out here. All right, it bulges out on this far side. And I'm using soft monster clay for this. And now the other side has to be worked on. Let me see if I can put that so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so the first thing I got to do is I got to take some of my soft monster clay and I got to start building this out just a little bit more. This side's not as bulging, so to speak. It's not as bad, but still has to come out just a little bit more. So what I'm doing is I'm just going right on this edge first. And I'm blending that in. And this is all soft monster clay. And the reason why I'm using soft on the ears is when I go to, I must have knocked something over in the back. When I go to demold this, it'll be easier to do. I'm just trying to get a generalized shape in here. I'm not trying to do too much. Just a little more to the back ear, and then I got to fill in here to bring this out just a little bit more. But you'll see. You'll see in a minute. Yep. Now I'm not looking at it straight on like I'm showing on the camera here. I have to look at it a little bit more. You guys can start chatting to me here. I have nobody commenting yet on the chat. It doesn't look like. So let me take a look here. The big thing is right now is I'm trying to get the height of what, how far out I want the ear to stick. That's what we're trying to do. We're not shaping anything yet. We're not shaping anything yet. minute, I'm going to start. I got to turn this thing. You're not going to be able to see what I'm doing in a second, just for a few seconds. I just want to make sure everything, oh, that looks pretty close. I was able to do that without, that's pretty crazy. Wow. Okay. That ain't bad. That ain't bad. Now we can turn it on the side. And we can bulk out the rest of this. Just need to fill in some of these spots. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm talking pretty low. You know what? I can't see with my glasses anymore. I have to have. And I'm going to show you guys a life cast that I was sent of William Shatner. I have William Shatner life cast mask. And I'm looking forward to using it, but to an extent. I don't want to make an exact... See, even the original mask that they made for the William Shatner Captain Kirk mask, they took that life cast and they did alter it, you know, to make the Shatner. I keep saying Shatner. They altered his life cast mask a little bit for the actual Captain Kirk mask, from what I was told. And I was told that many years ago, because I looked at the Shatner life cast many times over the years and thought, man, that doesn't quite look like the actual original 75 mask that they created on Don Post Studios. Turns out that they actually altered it a little bit, because they literally, you know, they had to make a mask out of that life cast, so they had to increase the size a little bit, and they made some changes to it, but not too drastic. All right, so the first thing I got to do is I got to bring out the center bulge just a little bit, right here. That's too much clay. We're just trying to make this even out from here. And this is when you wish you had tinier hands. I got pretty big hands. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this in to bring it out to the edge of the ear a little bit more, because it's too shallow. And all I'm doing is I'm just taking globs of clay and shoving it in there. London, you there? Ah. Too much clay. One thing about this monster clay is it really is nice and soft. I got the real soft clay for the ears. Just bulking it out just a little bit more. giving it a little bit more thickness. Trying to do what I can with my hands. This is still a little too deep right in here. Still a little too deep right in this area here. I'm not looking to shape just yet. I'm just trying to make sure that I have the right depth done. Yeah, we're getting there. We are getting there. Is my comments on? Is the chat on? Two watching. Well, that's one's me and one's probably London Moore, and you're probably in a situation where you can't chat because you're either at work or at home or something. So I'm guessing that that's what's going on with you. Or you're sculpting. That could very well be. All right, so do I need any more? I don't think so. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I want to move this clay around a little bit. And I like using the balls. The balls are great for using for monster soft clay. I can't do that with the glasses. Soft clay, what you're trying to do is you're just trying to shape everything. You know, and when you're when you go to smooth out, hard clay, you can't really use the balls. You can, but they're not real effective. All right, so I need to make it a little deeper in here to define that edge of the ear and smooth it out to where it's barely. Clean up my ball. What I'm doing is I'm creating a, so this is more rounded looking, the ear itself here. And the only way I can do that is getting in here, digging in just a little bit so it's behind that ear. And now the rest, I take this stuff and I just kind of take off that little bit of clay that was there. And let's see if I can take out. This way when I go to blend that with my finger, it won't be as bad. This monster clay soft is it's pain in the neck to manipulate. All right, so now trying to keep an eye on the chat too, so. So you guys chat with me. Now you're probably going, oh man, you should use a smaller tool. Well, I'm trying to cover as much surface as possible to keep it so it's fairly flat. I don't want it to dig in with this monster clay. Okay, back to manipulating the clay a little bit. And we're cutting away. And because it's the soft, the monster clay soft, what I'm doing is I'm blending in the overhang just a little bit. You know, to try to explain every step of what I'm doing and what I'm seeing and why I'm doing what I'm doing, it's kind of hard to do because you're sculpting, I find, is a balance of what you see when you're looking at, like if you're trying to copy something, you're looking at something and you're trying to mimic it, and at the same time it's a combination of what you see and what you feel. You can almost feel the shapes, and that's the key, is actually being able to feel what you're doing. You visually see what you're seeing, and you can feel that shape in your fingertips as you're trying to manipulate the clay. And now we're going to work on this area and kind of blend that in. Monster clay is easy to blend. And these little tiny lines that I'm creating in here, that'll all wash out with some naphtha. I'm not trying to make big just generalized shaping. Now the monster clay soft is probably just as soft as wet clay, maybe a little bit stiffer than that, but not much. The longer it heats up in your hand, the more pliable it is. It just really, but when it hardens up a little bit, which is perfect for molding, it hardens up to the point where it really works great when you're making a mold. When you don't make the mold, if you're not making a mold, I don't know. I'm really, you know what it is? I haven't eaten yet. I got to eat my bar while I'm sitting here talking to you guys. So I just need to add a little more to this area here. That's a lot better. All right, now we go back in here. Oh, somebody said something. Hold on, let me put my glasses on. This old man can't see perfect. London. Yeah, that's something I got to do too because I'm a little lethargic and I've been dieting like crazy. You can't see me on camera, but I've lost about 35 pounds so far. And I'm not really dieting. I've actually changed my just my eating habits completely. I'm eating nothing but I don't eat any processed foods at all. Um, Everything I do is basically health food. Well, not health food, but just non-processed stuff. No sugars. No sugar in my diet. The thing is, people don't realize that when you eliminate sugars out of your diet, um, all your cravings disappear, which is really kind of mind blowing. The first time you experience that. All right. So, I'm trying to figure out how do I want to do this. I got to figure out a better way to do this. Okay. We got to tuck this in a little bit more. It's almost like I need to feel the shape. It's kind of weird. I sometimes tools don't do it for me. You see how much better I did that with not using the tools as far as shaping goes. But my fingers are so big I can't get into that area where I need to work. Let me see if I can. I might have to add a little more right in here. I just took off too much right in that spot. Try this again with my hands. Getting there. I'm getting there. Oh, let me read your comments. Hold on. I got my eyes focused on this now. It's terrible. All right. Now I'm going to show the life cast in a few minutes. Everybody. I lost 20 pounds walking and working at Dollar General. Well, that's good. That's good. You're young too, so I really can't do the walking that I used to do because I got massive back injuries. I have really bad. I have 9 vertebrae that are fused. So I go just a little distance and I start hurting really bad. So it's not fun. It's not fun. I wish I could walk because that's what I used to do. I used to actually run. I used to run between 6 and 10 miles every other day. When I say run, I ran. I used to run a 7-minute mile. Yeah, I'm an ex-runner. I used to do it to keep myself in shape. I played semi-pro football. I mean, I did a lot of things as an athlete. I've been an athlete my whole life. And doesn't show now because of how big I've gotten. But I'm 60 years old. I'm not a kid anymore by far. You know, I didn't really start gaining weight until I was in my late 30s. That's when everything fell apart between my back and everything kind of went to hell. Tried everything too. Tried to fix it all, but it didn't work too well. You know, every time I turned right, a left turn would come up. If that makes sense to you. So it is what it is. The other thing I've always been bugged out about is this here. Nice. That ear's starting to really shape up. And I'm trying not to put naphtha on it right away because I really need to get the shape perfect before I can mess with naphtha. Now what I'm doing here is I'm trying to just really there we go. You know, you see the little ripples. That's because it's soft. But you'll see in a minute that's not going to matter too much. Yeah, the monster clay, when you're used to working with like really hard clay, hold on, let me read your text again. Who is that? I can't read. Is that? Damn, I wish I was a little closer. It's horror something. Horror. I'm sorry, I can't read your name. It's the damn screen's too small. Yeah, I'm back on, man. I'm back on. I'm gonna be putting this. I'm going to be casting this in silicone, probably in the beginning of October. This mask may not be done in time for Halloween. I have to get back to work first. I can't. I'm holding. You know, it's a hurry up and wait game with me. I gotta get back to work with my other job to afford to do what I need to do to this. Casting this in silicone is not a cheap. It's not a cheap process. It's very expensive to do. But once I get this in silicone, I'll have a master. I'll be able to make multiple clay heads over this whole winter. But the good news is, guys, over this winter, I will not stop working. Once I get this thing, you know, where I need it to be, I got to buy a whole bunch of monster clay. And let me show you the little surprise. Why not? I'll take a break here real quick. And I'm going to show you what I ordered. London Moore's on here. He has one of these. And actually, that's who kind of like... So this is an actual William Shatner life cast. This is actually his life cast. And now, what I can do with this is actually make the original Michael Myers mask based off the shape. And as I can see, my sculpture is actually pretty close, but I see little things that I made mistakes on, and I don't want to straighten it out because I'd have to change the whole face, and I don't want to do that. But having this life cast in my hand now, I can see three-dimensionally, you know, the issues. When you are looking at pictures, you're looking at a two-dimensional picture and you can't really tell the angle. You can't tell the distance of where that picture was taken. Um, and a lens, looking at a mask through a lens changes the shape, believe it or not, completely of the mask. When you're trying to replicate this sculpture, man, it's a tough thing to do with two-dimensional pictures. But this is the actual William Shatner life cast, and I got this from a company that London Moore turned me on to. There's this profile. Let me see, make sure you're in camera. Let me lower it, tilt it. Actually, let me see, how am I set up with that? Let me show you how close I am to the profile. Hold on. Let me make sure I went too far. How about that? All right, now let's see if I can line this up and just back it off from the front of the face and give you a perspective of the difference between my sculpture and I wish there was a black background. Yeah, you can see I'm pretty close. I'm very close to where it's supposed to be. Even the pitch of the nose is right. The lips are a little different, but not much different. The distance is right. Chin's like right on the spot. I'll tell you where I noticed a difference in my sculpture. These eye slits right here, they're kind of straight across, and mine kind of go down a little bit too far. Mine go down here a little bit too far, and they go down this way. And it's just a little bit of a difference, but it's not drastic. And this is going to be a different project altogether. My plan is I'm going to have this 3D mapped and enlarged, because this would make a very small mask. This would make a very small mask. So what I want to do, they even altered the original when they did this life cast of William Shatner, and they made the Captain Kirk mask. They altered that life cast clay a bit to make that mask, and I'm going to have to do the same thing. What I plan on doing is taking this life cast, having it blown up by about 2 inches bigger. Believe it or not, his face is the exact. When I took the measurements from the chin to the top of the forehead, my head's the exact same size. All right. Where Shatner is so different, and a lot of people don't realize it, is his eye slits right here to the top of the head are not centered to his face like normal people. All right. If you look at the distance. I'm trying not to move my fingers, but the top of his head, right here where the hairline is, to right underneath the eye slit. If you take that and you drop that, look how much lower my thumb is to his chin. So his eye cuts are not centered to his face, and that's why I think it gives him such a unique look. And his forehead's huge. His eyes are lower than the average person. And London, you were saying how, just add clay and make it bigger and all that. I don't want to do that. I am going to widen the face, and how I plan to do that is actually take the clay sculpture. It'll be hollow. This is actually hollow, this life cast. And imagine this in clay. Same thing. Now what I'm going to do is spread this area right here. I'm just going to push this out a little bit so we get a wider face. But I'm not going to do that until I get this sized 2 inches bigger than what it is. I'm going to make this 2 inches bigger than what it is. Now all these little imperfections and everything in this thing, this is a very old life cast. I mean, this is the guy, it's as good a shape as it can be. That's what I think, because I mean, this life cast was made. I actually think the life cast was done in the 70s or 60s, late 60s. It was during Star Trek, and then they produced the mask in, I think, 75. That's when they made the mask from the life cast. They started making the Captain Kirk mask along with Spock. But the life cast, I don't think the life cast was done in the. It might have been, because he looks like he's in his 30s, 40s here. If you look at the wrinkles and stuff, he could be in his 40s here. So it might have been in 75 when they made this life cast. I don't really know. I just know that this is the life cast. This is the actual life cast of the original Captain Kirk mask that they made the Captain Kirk mask from. And, it needs to be sized up by about 2 inches to make a really, really nice between. I'm going to say it'll produce, if I upscale this to 2 inches bigger, it'll make a 24.5 to 25 inch mask. Really nicely fit on anybody's head, most people's head, except for my brother's. So I may scale this up even bigger. I'm going to measure my brother's head. That's what I should have done way back when. I'm going to measure his head to get his exact dimensions of his head size. Then you always want to go 2 inches bigger than whoever's head you're trying to make sure that you cover, because latex will shrink up to 2 inches, as much as 2 inches. Maybe sometimes it's only 1.25 inches, just depending on the latex quality. Man, I got to try and move that screen. I'm going to move the screen over a little bit closer to me because I can't read your text. It's too far away from me. So let's see if I can move this just a little bit closer. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to. Yes, London. There's a lot that has to be changed, believe it or not. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Who is this? Oliver? Oliver. The life cast mask that you're talking about, I have it. The problem is it doesn't really give you, there's certain things it doesn't really, and you're talking about this, I believe. This is the actual, it's a plastic mask, but it's from the life cast. And how I know is because it even has these little ripples in here. It has the bulge right in here. The one thing that they did do with this life cast mask is put the eyebrows in place. They put the eyebrows in place and they widened it. It's definitely wider. Let me show you. They widened the face. See what they did? But it's from it's from this life cast. This is definitely molded from this life cast. Anybody that can't see that, then they don't know what I can even see, like all right on the forehead. I want you to look right here. You see that little divot? You see that little imperfection here? All right, you can see it. It's in the mask. It's in this plastic mask, but it's really, really washed out, like smoothed out. I think they smoothed this. They smoothed it out a bit. The cheek is a little bit more prominent right here, right there. I'm trying to get on camera. It's bulging out just a little bit right there. This here kind of just washes out into the face. But like I said, a lot of these things have been altered to give you that actual Shatner look. The thing they definitely did with this life cast mask is they widened it. They pulled it apart. You could see that. You could see that even with this. They took something that was like this, all right, and then they widened it. They just pulled it apart. And that's exactly my method. That's exactly what I'm going to do with once I cast that 2 inches bigger, once I cast it, my plan is to take that half cast in clay and then just pull that clay out just a little bit so it widens out the face. All right, now it'll definitely replicate what you see here if you do it right. You just got to be careful. But even the shape of the lips, this plastic mask, believe it or not, is very accurate to the life cast. Although there are changes on this, there are some changes that they did to this, and they made it look more like the actual. Now the eye cuts are crap. They're not right. They're just really rounded and they don't look right. So I tried to even fix them, but the problem with trying to fix these, they already made the cuts in areas. They made the cuts in areas and rounded it too much, so I had nothing to work with there. That needed to be a little steeper right up in here. This here needs to be. They cut away too much up here on this. You know, there's just little things that there's no way I can fix that just to give you the real look. Because once the plastic's cut away, there is no adding it back. Yeah, well, that's the other thing. The other thing too, Oliver. Every time something is you know, reproduced multiple times, you lose details, and sometimes things just get altered, you know, in the process. But the original Michael Myers mask, the Halloween 1 and 2, was Halloween 2 was the same mask, only Dick Warlock had a wider head, and it was a thin casted mask, and it was actually kid size. So maybe they didn't size up that mask. But Nick Castle, I was just watching an interview the other day, said that mask was fairly loose on him. It wasn't very. It wasn't. Everybody claims that the stretch is there because of his elongated face, but he claimed that the mask was actually loose, and he didn't stretch it out. He actually it kind of hung on his face, and because it was such a thin casted mask, it fell on his face very loose, and it just, you know, I guess it drooped down. I don't know. But it was a very thin casted mask. You know, the funny thing is, I can tell you a quick story. I used to work on the boardwalk in Wildwood many, many, many years ago as a kid, and I became friends with somebody that worked at the fun. It was called the Fun House, and it was in the center of Wildwood. It was down by where the Dracula's castle used to be, and it was called the Fun House. Fun Shop, I'm sorry, not Fun House, Fun Shop. They used to sell magic gags, masks, like it was the only place you can get a Don Post mask. And most of the masks that were in there were all Don Post. And you had the Frankenstein, the werewolf, you had the creature from the Black Lagoon, you had most of your MGM studio masks were all in there. Creature from the Black Lagoon, Phantom of the Opera. I remember those masks vividly. And what was amazing was they had and this goes back, I mean, I'm talking mid-70s. That was like 75. Yeah, it was right around that time period, because I was 13 years old. So yes, it was 1975. That year and the following year, 75 and 76, that mask, the William Shatner and the Captain Kirk were in there, and there was another one that was in there too that was Star Trek, and I can't remember which one it was. Oh, it was the creature. It was the monster with the white fur that, you know, I forget what it was called, but they had the monster mask from that. So anyway, to make a long story longer, I had my hands on that original mask. I had an opportunity to grab as many as I wanted. They used to have like 4, 5, 6 of them come in at a time, and they would sell them because they were popular, but they were cheap. That Shatner mask was so cheap. I think it was like $1.98, maybe. Nah, it might have been $3. I forget. It's I know it was under $10. It was under $10, and the boardwalk's always a lot more expensive than the average because we are in a resort area, so these people are trying to make their money um, in a short period of time to last a year. So that's how it is in resort towns. So you're always charging a lot more. Like you can go somewhere else in the country and get something for far cheaper. You open that boardwalk and you're going to get gouged a bit. That's for sure. But anyway, to get back to it, so that mask was up there, and I actually helped him stock a lot of those masks because I was into. I mean, I really loved all the Frankensteins. I used to like, oh, when those masks come in, I'll help you put them on the shelf. I don't care. I was only 13 years old, and I helped them. I helped them put them up on the shelf. Put them on the foam heads. And that's right. They used to put them on the styrofoam heads, which is a big no-no for mask collectors, and anybody for that matter. You don't put your latex masks on foam heads, whatever you do, because it destroys your mask. It dries them out. Um, you want them to be on some kind of plastic that doesn't absorb the moisture out of the latex. Yes, so I mean it was fun times. They were fun times. So I had my hands on multiple. I couldn't tell you how many times I've put that Shatner mask on a little wig head and put it up on the shelf. They had two of them. When they sold, you had to replace it and put it up. They only had two on display. They had the three masks on display, and that was it. And it was fun, man. It was just good times. And I look back, I always think about that. I think about that all the time because I had my hands on a real, I could have had 15 of those masks. And if I knew what I was doing back then, 20 of those masks, 100 of those masks I could have had, If I knew what I was looking at back then, holy God, it's the holy grail of Michael Myers. And it's interesting because you just never know where life takes you. You really don't. Yeah, well, these replicas aren't. I mean, we're trying to recreate this mask, this life cast, and this is an artist's point of view. Let me, you know what? Let me smooth this out with a little naphtha while I'm talking to you guys. I want to try and see where I'm at, where it needs to be fixed. Not quite there yet. See, what I do is now I'll smooth it, and I'm going to add this naphtha to soften this even more. All right. I got to get new brushes because these brushes are too stiff. I need real brushes, not the. These will take out the little wrinkles, but this way I can see, what I need to do to this to smooth it out even better. Then we can sit and chat. Yeah, so my plan going forward this winter is to work out of the studio. I am going to work here. There isn't going to be any time off. When I get back up here and I start getting this thing going, I'll be making, this is called the hold on. This is called Custom Corpses Night Creeper 78. That's the name of this mask. All right, now, you see how I still have to smooth out the back of this ear? Still not done these ears, just got to fix this side too. But this is the Night Creeper 78. So the next one, my plan will be The Night Creeper 81. No, I'm not doing the 81. The 78 and the 81 are the same mask. They're just going to have a different paint scheme. And when I make the silicone copy, I'm going to make multiple heads. And I'm going to age this into the 2018, but it's going to be this sculpture that's being aged into the 2018. I'm not going to make the 2018 mask because Pipe Master, you bro, I see you're on. Yeah, so I'm going to make this stays. This is going to give me the seven. This is going to give me the 81 and the 78. Then I'm going to take that once I have multiple heads done. I'm going to age. I'm going to do the 2018, the kills, and the ends mask, and also a concept mask. All right. And now that I got the life cast, which I just got done showing, I'm going to show it to Pipe Master. There's the life cast. And my plan is to, I'm going to have this made bigger. I'm going to actually increase it by 2 inches because it's weird, but I found out after measuring this life cast is the exact same size as my face. And I found I'm pretty close. I'm pretty close to what this looks like. What I've noticed, and I just got done explaining this a little while ago, Pipe Master, is William Shatner's eyes are not centered to his face, and that's what gives him such a different look. That's what I'm realizing. The distance between the top of his head and his undercuts, his eye cuts right here, and it's right here, and then most people were perfectly centered, or eye cuts are perfectly centered. But if I touch this and I grab that like that, right, and then I just don't move my fingers and I put my finger right there, look how much further my thumb is down on his chin. His lower portion of his face is so much shorter than his forehead. His forehead is huge. And that's what really gives him that different look. And I've also noticed my eye cut angles are just a little bit different than here. So, and also, as an artist, the reason why this mask always stands out, and even the flashback mask, this protrudes out further from the eye cut. The eye cut is cut down deeper underneath of this protruding area, which causes natural shadowing. There is the difference. And that is definitely the life cast mask, no doubt in my mind. I know it. I've actually had the William Shatner Captain Kirk mask in my hands years ago as a kid. And yes, they did alter that mask. They did alter it. There's no doubt about it. And you have to alter the life cast as well. Hold on. Let's see what you got going on. I always wanted a Kirk that had the shape of the H2 style as a Kirk. Yeah, a lot of people want. Man, if I had, I mean, you have no idea. Working at that fun shop on the boardwalk where they sold the Don Post masks, I could have had, I don't know, I could have had 1,000 of those masks. I don't know how many times over a course of 2 years that I had to restock that mask back up onto a foam head, and it was crazy. Yeah, so I have plans for the life cast as well, but I'm not in a big rush for that. I'm gonna take my time with that. I got to figure it out. I want to find somebody that can 3D scan it and then increase it total by 2 inches. I want it increased in size in every direction, 2 inches. And this is the reason why. I can't see what you said there. London Moore, hi? What does that say? I can't see what that says. Anyway, I'm too far away from the damn screen and I can't move the screen because I got no space. to YouTube. I'm from South Jersey. That's as far as I want to take that. I don't want to really go too far exactly where I'm located, but I'm in South Jersey, on the East Coast, in the good old US of A. So, I'll say this, I'm in Cape May County. I'm in Cape May County in South Jersey. How's that? Anyway, yeah, you know, if I can find anybody anyway, but besides, I'm looking forward to this, man. I can't wait till I have this sculpture done. Oh, if you're still on Pipe Master, I want you to see what I did to the ears. I'm going to go forward, straight on shot, so you can see I bulged out the ears just a little bit. And this is replicating the exact ear shape. Let me make sure, yeah, as the original mask. Yeah, I'm feeling better. I'm getting in better shape. As a matter of fact, I have to cheat and eat one of my bars while I'm talking to you guys. My health bars. Sucks because it's gummy. I need my water though. I don't have any water left. I'm thirsty. Protein bars. They do help. High fiber. You know what? Can you guys give me a couple, about 3 minutes? I'm going to go fill my water up. I need to go get some water. All right, so hang tight. All right. Let me go get my water. I'll be right back. Oh, can't go that way. I got to go in front of the camera. Oh well. Diabetes sucks. Man, I don't even have room to walk through here. Give me a minute. Okay, I'm back. I just had to get my water. Dying of thirst over here, talking to it at the same time. Try not to bang this camera because my tripod's busted. I break them more than I break. What the hell I just knock off? Oh, nothing. Okay, we're good. Yep. I'm just trying to get everything where it needs to be. Where the hell can I put this one on? Yapping at you. There we go. Right there. All right. Back up to the sculpture. Okay, brought to you by. I have a friend out there who does incredible work, upcoming artist. Really? You're in Vegas? 31st Night Studio. Good to see him working again. Yes, I'm back. Um, yes, I had to focus on my health. My health was like just failing. I'm diabetic. I'm 61 now, and it ain't easier as we get older. So I had to really focus. So far, so good. I've dropped about 30 pounds. About 30 pounds so far. But getting better. Okay. Sorry for chewing. But this stuff, this damn bar, this protein bar is really chewy. Sucking down some water too at the same time. Come on. Don't fall. There we go. This is going to be a nice sculpture. When this is done, this is really going to be nice. One thing I got to do yet. Can't do it with my glasses on. To this ear. Pardon my hand, hold on. My elbow. I'm working on the smallest details at this point. Now these ears aren't quite done yet because they're not completely smoothed down. They're not in the perfect shape yet where I want them to be. But we're getting there. And I really want the ears to be just as accurate as the original. Because, there was just a look about it that really gave it that extra, needed look. Alright, so one thing about the soft monster clay is all these imperfections do kind of wash out. But you got to put a lot on there. This brush doesn't hold a lot. of liquid. Jesus, what the hell? There we go. Let that soak in a second. Getting a little better. Let's see, I can feel my sugar going already. It's already going back up to where it was, where it needs to be. Okay, let me read some comments. Jonathan Avius, ring a bell? I think I'm saying I can't. My problem is my vision's not real good. I can't really see. No, it doesn't ring a bell. Post a link there. Dean, post a link to his stuff on the YouTube. Post his channel in comments. I don't know if you can. Maybe you can't. I'm not sure, but you'll have to text it in, I guess. But yeah, I got to say, the Michael Myers sculpture is a very difficult sculpture to do. Very difficult. I actually changed the pitch of the hair here, the hairline. I put my hairlines in the sculpture to give it a more accurate, and this is the seam line. This is where the center of the head is. This way I don't get any, what they call, all right, like I'll show you. This is the highest point to the head. If I make a clay wall on this side and a clay wall on this side, if I were to put this back here or put it up here, this side would lock if I was pulling this way, or if I was putting it back here, the front would lock. You'd never get it off. You have to find the highest point of your clay sculpture, then draw your seam line down, and then go behind the ear and then down. It doesn't actually go behind the ear, the line comes in, and I always find the highest point to the sides as well. This way when I go to demold, I'm not having locking issues, which I have a lot of most times. I usually have a ton of locking issues. And that's what's one of the things that have been causing a lot of the problems. And one of the reasons why I have changed to soft monster clay for the ears, because I don't want the ears locking. If they lock now, they'll come right off. The ears will just come right off. I won't have any issues with the ears now, because now I still have to shape these ears just, perfectly round. so they look nice. I always try to keep, I don't dig into the back of the ear where some people do. Michael Myers doesn't, they never did that to any of the masks where they dug in behind the ear. That just creates more locking points and makes it hard to demold. So I just keep it flat as I can, all the way in the back of the ear. The one thing about this sculpture, when we're making a sculpture of Michael Myers, not William Shatner, is we're trying to replicate the mask itself. We're not trying to replicate William Shatner, although it is part of it, but it's not what I'm doing here. I'm replicating a Michael Myers mask, or else the eye cuts wouldn't be the way they are. They would, they would show William Shatner's eyes. Mm-hmm. Game 3 Goblin, what's happening, buddy? 31st Night's on. Who else is on here? Yeah, any questions, guys? The reason why I haven't been on is I was just trying to figure out which direction I want to take the channel, in the end. There's things I want to do. I've been very busy with my other business. Believe it or not, I did more work in this off season. Off season is summer for me now, and that's done on purpose because I don't actually want to work in the summer. But my plan was to do a lot more work with the sculpting during the summer months. But what happened was, hold on. Okay. What happened to me, basically, is my health was a little bit wonky. So I literally took a seat back and thought, okay, you're useless to everybody, including yourself, if you don't get your health straight. So I've been focusing on that. They put me on a drug called Ozempic to straighten out my diabetic numbers, and they came back amazingly great. My A1C came back really good. My numbers were never really real high, but my fluctuation was so dramatic, and it was killing me because I felt so terrible because my fluctuation, even though my numbers weren't high, my fluctuations were extremely high and low, and that's what knocks you out. That's what makes you feel like crap. Hold on, let me read your comments. Hey, bro, what's that say? Oh, is that meant to say bro? Just put BRO. I'm back. Game 3 Goblin. Dean. Yeah, send me a link on here. Actually, share it with everybody on here. If you can actually post that link to the Jonathan. I got to get closer to see. I don't know if it's an I or an L or. Everybody else can see the comment, so. I think I shared that. I think everybody. Can you guys see the comments? Somebody answer that question for me real quick. Vials, I don't know if how's, yeah. Avails. Okay, I'm gonna have to look it up. I can see it in bolder text now. It's a little bit better. If you guys can, just put your caps on. Put your cap locks on. It's easier for me to see the text. Don't use some lowercase. Just put your caps on and leave it on lock. I know you're not screaming at me. You're just helping my vision a little bit. That does help. Put your caps on. Oh, see that? I can see that pretty good. Got it. Will do. Gotcha. Nice. Now I can see a little better. It's terrible, man. It's terrible. And my sugar just dropped a little bit. That's why I had to eat that bar. I'm just smoothing out the little ripples that I see in this thing. Yeah, that monster clay is really soft. Perfect. I can read that really nice. When your sugar drops, do you get like a weak spell? No, I get lethargic. I get what do you call it? My vision gets a little blurry, and that explains why I'm having a hard time reading the text. But it's not real bad. It's just enough to put, gives me a little bit of I lose that sharpness in my vision. I have 20/20 with these glasses when my vision's normal. When my vision fluctuates, you lose the 20/20 no matter what your prescription is, so I mean, the one thing I do is spend money on my glasses. A lot of money. I do invest money in my glasses, as you can see. These glasses are not cheap. These are coated in 24 karat gold. They are definitely expensive glasses, and these are scripts. These are Cazales. They don't even make these glasses anymore, and I can't wear contacts. So I said, well, if I'm not going to wear contacts, and I'm in the entertainment business, so I have to, I don't know. I didn't expect to happen what happened. Now, when people see me, they recognize me instantly because of these glasses. And I've had these glasses for probably 10 years. 10 years ago, they don't make these glasses anymore. You can find them, I think, online, but they're most times in real bad shape. But they're the old Cazales, and I had them gold plated. I sent them off to get them gold plated, and I don't know how I just got onto the subject, but I'm random. That's what happens when you're also diabetic. Your thought process gets real goofy. Anyway, yeah. So I'm in the entertainment business. I buy these Cazales, and I spent $900 for these frames, just the frames. The lenses were another $500. So, and every time I get new scripts, I get the scratch coating, the UV blocker, you name it. It's on these lenses. And usually I don't have to change my script, but maybe every 2 years. But the weird thing is, and it actually gave me an identity. Anytime somebody sees me, that they right away recognize me because of my glasses. Ironically, but it was calculated, and I got a guy that I deal with to get my glasses all the time, and a lot of people ask me about the glasses, so I'm just putting it out there. Now you know about the glasses. No big deal. they're funky. I'm a DJ. That's what I do. So I have to play the part, play the role once in a while. But I really want to get into sculpting, period. That's what I really want to do, you know, in the future. I want to go with yeah, I want to get away from, like, you know, I want to retire from DJing in the next couple of years. I say that all the time, and as soon as I walk away for a little bit, I get anxious and I want to go back. It makes sense to anybody that's near retirement age. If you don't know, you will know. Everybody hates to work. You won't hate working if you find your passion. You find your passion, you never work a day in your life. That is the truth. To do custom sculpts for somebody, you have to. The one reason why I don't do custom sculpts is because, one, I'm not real fast. I'm a slow sculptor. If I'm just creating something out of the, you know, blue sky, I could be fast. But when you replicate something, when you're trying to replicate something, it could take this sculpture is 2 years old. 2 years of work to get it into where it's at. Now, basically, a lot of it was because I didn't have good pictures. I didn't know where to get good pictures of the original mask. A lot of the stuff that I was looking at in the wrong. I didn't have good angles on the two-dimensional pictures. The thing I should have done right off the get-go, and I would have probably been able to put myself where I'm at with this sculpture really quickly. I want to say within a couple of months I could have done this if I had gotten the life cast mask. I should have gotten that first. That's the first thing I should have done. So 2 years of work, who can afford to pay me 2 years of what I charge per hour? Nobody. So the reason why we do these masks, this isn't going to be sold to the average person. This is going to be aimed at collectors. If you want a $60 mask, then you need to go to Spirit of Halloween or wherever else you get your masks. When you're doing custom stuff like this, some people can knock out a sculpture in hours, but they've been working. Like there's like Nick Malpagano. I don't know how long it takes him to do a sculpt. I mean, he did the 13 mask, and that's a really badass mask. But I don't know how long he actually spent working on it. I think he said 10 months to me. He told me 10 months of sculpting. How are you going to afford to pay somebody to custom make you a mask unless you can find somebody that's really fast at it? And if they're really fast, they're super expensive. I can tell you right now, they're not going to base it off an hourly rate from you. They're going to base it on just because you're getting a mask from that artist, you know. Nick Malpagano has been doing this for so many years at Handy Boy Studios. And, you know, I reach out to him all the time and I talk to him directly. Yeah, I think he said 10 months. That's when that was the last time I talked to him, and he still wasn't done the 13 mask. Only Nick has a lot of experience and had a lot of experience even to that point, so he really knew the shape. He knew what, you know. All I had to do is if I had gotten this right out of the gate, if I had gotten the life cast right out of the gate, I would have had all the eye cut angles. I would have had the nose the right pitch. I would have had the lips the right shape. I would have had the chin all right. I would have had everything right and proportioned based off of this life cast. But because I didn't go out and get that life cast, now I'm not saying Nick used the life cast. He didn't use the life cast, but I'm a different type of sculptor. I'm not somebody that can look at a picture and pick up all the angles. Now, what I'm saying is, all right, when you look at a picture straight on like that, you can't tell how far anything's out unless it's literally perfectly shadowed. But you can't tell how far that, you can't tell the pitch of this face like this. You can't tell the angles of where, like, when, now see, you see my hand? But look what my hand looks like it's not, it almost looks like when you're looking at the film, it doesn't look like I'm really pitching my hand that much, but look how far my hand's pitched. All right, so you can't tell the pitches. The only way I'm going to be able to replicate a two-dimensional picture is if I take still shots and literally turn it just like a 3D scanner does. You have to see every angle in multiple, angles, up, down, under. You have to see everything about that, and that's why it's difficult to sculpt this. For whatever reason, William Shatner's face is very difficult to do. He's not easy to do. The Shatner sculpture is very difficult, and Nick will tell you that too. I mean, and you go to him and tell him that you talked to me about this, and I'm straight up and down with. I love Nick. He's such a great guy, and he's so helpful. He has helped me a lot. I've only been doing this for 2 years. I've never sculpted in clay in my life. I have done relief carving, and that's basically relief carving into wood. I used to do, I used to draw, I used to paint, I used to do relief carving, and that used to be fun. But, whew, man, I could work on a relief carving for a year, doing I used to do a 5-tier relief carving in wood, and I would do, my thing was sceneries. I used to love doing, like, wilderness and mountains and oceans, Bob Ross material, and do it in wood. And I did custom work for people with that, for their cabinets. I did stuff like that. I did cabinet doors when I was young. And then I walked away from it all for many, many years. All right, so I haven't done any artwork in probably 25, maybe even close to 30 years. When I walked away from it, I'll say 25 years. I walked away from it and didn't, touch any. I'll tell you what year it was. It was 1989 was the last year that I actually did anything with my art. Might have been 1990. And then I walked away from it because I got so busy with, DJing. So then what basically happened was, I just walked away from my art, but I still had the passion for art. Just back in those days, even you didn't have the materials that you have today. So, yeah. So getting custom work from somebody, if somebody's really fast, he's going to be extremely expensive. Somebody that's slow is going to be really expensive because the slower he is, the more it's going to cost you in the end, because to pay somebody for 2 years of work on something that's customized, that's beyond doable. Even if you're extremely rich, you got to pay somebody's wage for two. And I'm not cheap. When I do something like this, that wouldn't be a cheap thing to do. Why does that look so? All right, that's fine. Okay. I don't know what the hell did I do here? Just taking out the imperfection lumps. Although an ear has imperfections in it, but I don't want it to look like clay lumps. I want it to look like flesh lumps. There's a difference. Has to look natural. something going on right here that's driving me nuts. There we go. Smooth it out. So, yeah, we're getting there. Okay, what did you say then is to price per job, not per time? I get that. The problem is when you're slow, price it out by job. When you're slow, there's no way to know exactly how much time I'm going to take to get it done. I'd have to see how complicated the sculpture is. Believe it or not, the smoother something is, the harder it is to get the shape right. The more areas that are prominent, like when you have like your lips, all right, the actual cut into the lip, I can measure from that. I can get the right distance right from the tip of the nose to where the seam of the lip is. I can measure that. I can measure the cheek where it meets the eye cut on the lower to the bottom. I know exactly what that distance is. When I'm looking at across, when I'm cutting this mask across, I have to make sure that cheek line is even with this cheek line. There's all these little things that people overlook sometimes when they're making a sculpture. The indentations, there's a dent right here that you can't really see too well without proper lighting hit it. Like if the light hits it just right, you'll see that dent that's there. There's all these there's a dent right in here. There's another one that follows right behind it. It's subtle. The light hits it, it picks it up. All this is because of this protruding scowl. This shadowing right in here is all caused from the protruding scowl. The eye cuts. Anytime you have like more things going on, you can literally measure off. The thing you can't do with a two-dimensional picture is actually see the angles. You can't really pick up on the angles on a two-dimensional picture. A video, as long as it's shot right, you can see as long as it's really being, and I can freeze frame any of those angles. When I have a pitch, I can turn that thing and then look at each angle as it's going. Then I'll be able to see how those eye cuts are over top of the upper eye cut is sticking out past the under eye cut. You can't see that looking directly at the picture. You can only see that from a side view. So there's that. You got to remember the original Shatner, the original Michael Myers mask in the movie. There's only so many pictures of that mask. There's not very many pictures to give you the true dimensions of the mask. Where you need to study anatomy. That's what I learned going forward. Remember, like I said, I just started doing sculptures of faces like this 2 years ago. So the thing I should have done right off the get-go is buy the Shatner Life Cast and also study human anatomy. Knowing where the muscles are underneath the flesh is a big help, and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. You see the lips here? All right. There's a lip muscle that goes right across the top of the right over top of the lip, and that's how you smile, and that's how you form. And then all this is all creases from us smiling and moving our mouth a lot. But there's a lip muscle, and you see that little bulge right there. That's there. It's there in this sculpture. There's subtle things that people they overlook. They just would think that that's a flat area. That's not a flat area. It's dented here, and there's a little bit of a bulge, and then it drops back into the lip. All right, and when you know the anatomy, and you know where the muscles are, and where it helps you understand how that sculpture has to come together. All right, even though that Shatner has his own look, and yes, his eye cuts are not even, like if you measure from here to here, On my sculpture, they're almost the same. You know, they're about the same distance. The actual life cast, his eye cuts are lower. His eye cuts, his head's a lot bigger. Like, you know, his head's like, you know, his forehead's a lot higher. It's weird, but that's what gives Shatner that unique look, I think, and it has a lot to do with it. He has a shorter, his chin is shorter, closer to his eyes than the top of his head is to his eyes. So, yeah, we've lost some people, but that's okay. Yeah, I wanted to do a short. You know, this is going to be a nice sculpture. This is really going to be nice. Um, this is going to give you a combination look of the H1 and the H2 originals. You know, I've got the wider face as an H2. The lips are pretty much the flashback mask. And there's a reason for that. Flashback mask, I think, was pretty close to the original Shatner. Not the Shatner, I'm sorry, the original 75 Kirk mask. But looking at the life cast, these lips are definitely different. So I would have to say this looks more like this is definitely, I made these lips to look like the flashback mask. And the reason why is, one, I like that flashback look. Two, I plan on making the flashback mask from this base sculpture. I have to alter it quite a bit, but my plan is to make a flashback mask as well. So, but from this sculpture, I'm going to make multiple heads, and I'll be able to do a lot. There's a lot of things going to take place over the next over this winter. I'm going to make multiple. You're going to see this turn into the 18, the kills, and the ends, but they're going to be different heads because I'm going to make the silicone master, and I'll be able to make clay copies of this sculpture, and I'll foam fill them when I have the copies, and then what I'll do is I'll make the masters. So, you know, you will have a Night Creeper 78 version of the 2018, you know, and the kills and the ends. I'm going to age it to look just like the kills and the ends, but it's not going to be the same sculpt. It's going to be this sculpture, based upon this sculpture. And the flashbacks being that's getting completely reshaped a little bit. The head shape is going to be changed a little bit. The eye cuts will be a little bit different. But that'll be its own sculpture that I can work on by itself. So, and I may do that to this because this is huge. I can actually change this particular sculpture once I have this copied. And I can make multiple copies of this anyway. Once I have this copied, I can alter this anywhere I want. And the plan would be to change this to make this look like the flashback. Yeah, this will be my flashback after I'm done doing this. And the other heads that I mold will be the 18, the kills, ends, and concept. I'm going to do an original concept. So that'll be fun to do too. So there's 4 people on. I haven't been on in a while, guys, so I'm glad you guys are with me, hanging out. I'm getting ready to wrap things up. I just did I changed the ears a little bit to make them look more like the original shape of the original mask. Yeah, that's the plan going forward. Oh yeah. You know, so that's where I'm at. This lips even has a little bubble right there in the corner of the mouth. That's even in the original. But I do like that flashback mask lips. I really do. They're really cool. Um, the chin depth is right. Everything's just right. I just don't want to mess with it now. I'm at the point of ready to mold. Um, any questions before I jump off of here, guys? Like, when's the next time I'm going to be on? No. um, I'm going to nitpick at this still a little bit. I got to dent this in just a little bit more in here. But that's child's play right now. I don't have. There's not really much more I can do to this. I'm really there. But I think I'm going to say goodnight. It was fun. I haven't been on in a long time, guys, and I'm back, getting healthier. Still a little lethargic tonight. I know it's because my sugar dropped. That sucks. Dropped and then went back up on me. Sugar, I will say this. It's not when it's high and it's not when it's low that bothers me. Well, it does bother me if it goes too low, but it's the up and down that kicks your ass. When it fluctuates, that's when you get your vision fluctuation. You get all kinds of. Can't have that fluctuation. I'm on Ozempic, but I'm not at the highest dose yet. That happens in the next month. Then I'll be up to full 2 milligrams dose, and then they say the weight will start really coming off. I'll start losing a lot of weight when that happens. So that should be fun. Seems I can see something under this shadow here that I ain't liking too much. How do I want to address it though? Okay, that's better. That's better. That looks a little better. A little bit more of an edge there. It looked too round right in here. Not crisp, the edge. You gotta have that edge crisp. Anyway. So what do you guys think? You guys like this sculpture? You think it's going to produce a good mask? It's like my buddy that's on here all the time. He's been with me for a long time. I don't want to say his name. Yeah, I think this is going to be a really, really, really nice mask when this is finally made. It just like there's little subtleties that were in the Shatner head, the original the original mask, that was reproduced many times, like the little bump right here, a little bump in the center. There's also a bump on this side. It kind of goes down and then around and follows the scowl. There's a little bit of an indentation right in here. I still have to work that out. And then there's this kind of like this Y shape thing going on here. A little bit of a dent that goes all the way out. And this is rounded straight out. Now you're probably wondering, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but on the camera you'll see these little check marks, and you'll see the little check mark here on the sideburns. The sideburn glue mark is right here, and then you'll see this little check here. That's for when I put hair on. I'm going to put the hair there. This little area right in here is where the hair curves over, and then it comes in. I think it actually starts here. Yeah, it starts here and then curves over. So I mean, there's just different ways to lay the hair to make it really look very accurate. And that's what I'm going to do. So, you know, and if that's already in the sculpture, it just helps you when you're laying out, when you're putting the hair on the mask. You're not, you know, you don't want any fluctuation with your hairline, one mask to another. So anything you do to the sculpture to give you that permanent hairline is going to help you. This way you're not spending extra time to make sure that, oh, it's not quite right there. It's not high enough. It's not low enough. You know, get it right on the sculpture, and then use that hairline on the latex. So once it's on the mask, then once it's on the mask, you're good. You don't have to worry about it. You know, the seam you're never going to see. It's under the hair. That seam line, that disappears. That seam line disappears under the mask. I still got some more work to do to the ears, but they're close. They're close. I wanted to make sure that the shapes were right. I just want to make sure that the shapes were right. And now it's all about really honing it in to get it really nice. Just really want to finish it up really nice and get it right. This is going to be a really, really nice sculpture, nice mask. It's going to give you a really nice mask. And it's going to give you the original 78 versus the 81, just depending on what paint scheme you order. You know, if you want this mask, I haven't really honed in on a price on these masks yet, because they will be collector's pieces. They're aimed more for a collector, serious collector, not really aimed at, you know, the $60 guy. You know, that's not going to happen. You know, you can get those masks. When you start going into independent mask creators and stuff, the reason why you're paying so much for something like this is because we made this ourselves, and some people take a lot longer than others. But here's what happens. People that are really good and really fast, their price is going to be really high because they can turn it over quicker. So guys that are really in high demand, like guys at Nag Masks, love their stuff, man. Oh my God. Nick Malpagano, he's kind of like me a little bit. It takes him a little bit of time to produce the mask, but he's a perfectionist, and that's how I am too. I see something new and I go, oh, I got to change that. I got to make that look right. You know, there's just all these little things that I occasionally run into that I go, oh, I got to make that change. And that's what happens with me. I just feel like I want it to be as accurate as I can possibly be, without altering the mask, the sculpture too much, because you can screw up everything you've done if you do too much. I tried altering the lips a little bit at one point, and I tried to make them a little thicker to match the actual look of the stretch look of the 78, and I started thinking about it. I'm like, no, stick with what was really looking good on this. And I think believe it or not, what looks good on this sculpture, I've had all different types of lips on here. I've tried everything. This really looks good with the original 78 the 78 mask, the 1975 mask that was produced. This actually looks like it, and it also looks like the flashback. It looks more like the flashback than anything else, but that's because we don't have a 75 mask really to look at it and say, okay, this is to make it look exactly like that. But this definitely looks a lot like the, pretty close. I mean, real close to the flashback. I'd hate to be able to split the difference. But I'll let you guys be the deciders on that. You know, you're the ones going to have to decide whether it's good enough for your collection or not. Let's see. Okay, wait a minute. 2000, and you're right. That's exactly. Now, see, I'm not in that category yet because I'm really a new artist to this game. I've only been doing this for 2 years. For me to justify getting $2,000 from some collector, even a collector, I mean, they're the ones that have to set the price. That's why you have to test market everything. You have to. I'm a strong believer in once I get this mask where I want it, and I'm not going to keep doing this over and over and over and over again. I'm going to test market this mask on eBay. That's how you know whether collectors like it or not. You need to be able to auction it to be able to see where they set the price. The collectors will set the price, but you have to do it at the right time of the year. I think the best time to do it is actually right in through September and October. Because that's when everybody wants the mask. They want it, you know. So you take one that's finished, you put it on eBay, and you set your minimum amount that you're willing to take, and then let them go crazy. Let them dictate how much the mask is worth, you know. But here's the other problem with that is if you're not a well-known artist, how many people are going to visit your mask on that eBay? You know, you have to reach out to all the collectors and say, hey, look, what do you think of this? And let them set the price. But so you're battling two things when it comes to marketing. Marketing is like, you know, you have to make sure that a lot of the collectors on there, and that's why anytime a collector or a mask maker comes on here, I share their content and I expect the same from them, you know. We need that. We need that connection from both of us. It's better to work together because regardless of what you're doing versus what I'm doing, somebody's going to look at your mask and say, I like that better, or they're going to look at my mask and say, I like that better. It's preference, you know. So it's never whose is better. It's just what somebody likes, and don't ever take that as a knock, because it's not a knock on anybody's stuff. It's you're at the mercy of what the collector likes, you know. So Pipe Master's on here a lot, and I'm good friends with him. He actually has been to my house, and he's actually seen the sculpt up in personal. It's funny. He said, you know, he says, you're right. The camera doesn't do it justice. It wasn't until I seen the sculpture that really made me go, wow, this is really good. And I went, okay. All right, I'm impressed with that because Pipe Master is a huge collector. He's not some rinky-dink guy. He's a big-time collector, and he spends thousands on his masks, you know. So I mean, that means a lot coming from guys like that because they do have a keen eye, and they know what they like. But even with him, he has to like it. You know, it's like a matter of it's what he likes. Like and I'm not giving his identity away at all, so it doesn't matter because he's under his YouTube name. But we've had discussions on different masks that, you know, that have been produced by different people, and some things that I liked, and I thought, wow, yeah, I like that mask, and he didn't like it. And I went, really? And I said, what don't you like about it? And he told me his reasons, and I went, well, that's an interesting concept. I never thought of it that way. So you don't know. You don't know what people, you know, their individual choices. So the main thing is you want to be as accurate as possible to the originals, but you also, as an artist, you don't want it to be exactly like when I do the life cast. That's not going to be exactly like the life cast. It's going to maintain the integrity of it, but I still want to give it my own little touches. Like this one here, The one thing I wanted to give to my sculpture was a little more attitude. I didn't want it to look, um, you know, I don't know. I liked a little more attitude with my sculpture. I also liked the the all right, Nick Malpagano. He based his 13 mask was based off the artwork that was put on the cover of the Halloween 4 and the Halloween 5. The mask that was on that cover of that poster was what he based his sculpture on. And I love the look of that. I do love the look of that artwork that was done on that. It's a shame in the movie we didn't get that. I hated 4, 5, 6, 8, whatever. You know, I hated all the other masks. They were terrible. All those masks. I don't care if you're a fan of it or not. I'm giving you my personal opinion. I didn't like any of those masks. I didn't like them at all. They looked clownish. They didn't look scary. You know, I just don't. I can't. You can't get away from that William Shatner look. You cannot get away from that. It just. There's something about that William Shatner face that absolutely screams Michael Myers. And so, getting back to it, my sculpture was based off of, I wanted to look like a combination of Halloween 1 and 2, original movies, 78 and 81. And I wanted the lips to look like the flashback. I was doing these little things. Now the eye cuts and eyebrows are off that poster. Not so much the eye cuts, but the eyebrows are off the poster art of the Halloween. I want to say 4 or 5, or it's both. I think they used the same picture on 4 and 5, but that's like the 13 mask. You know, my eyebrows are just like that 13 mask from Nick Malpagano. The eyebrow, let me explain something about the eyebrows. Let me face them to you first. All right. The angle of the eyebrows are so important because it really changes the look of the expression. The slightest, I mean, literally, if I knock it off just a little bit too rounded or a little bit too just a little off can change the entire expression of the face. All right, so the eyebrows, notice where these come into the nose. This one's pointing down just a little bit and it's lower than this one. All right, this is higher than this point here. This is higher, just a slight bit, but it's probably we're talking 1/8 of an inch higher. All right, notice how this one kind of goes up a little bit and then curves off. All right, it goes up, gives you a little bit more attitude. All right, this one here looks like it's almost flat, straight across. Almost flat, straight across. That's the difference in the eye cuts. And if you look at the actual movie, you can see that. Now, looking at the life cast, I can see that there's a bump right in here. It's bumped out, and then it kind of tucks back in on the eye cut, where mine's pretty much smooth. It's all one. There's no lumps in it like the life cast. So what I did to get the pitch right on the eye cuts and get the pitch going back, like, you know, the wedge like that, the face shape, I had to bump the scowl out more, and it instantly gave me the original look. It instantly showed me like, oh, this is what's been missing. And this gave the right pitch, it gave me the right cut, the depth, everything kind of really came to life by doing this scowl correctly. And believe it or not, the scowl is almost identical. Do I have that close enough to you where you can see it? If you can look at that, look at the look at even the eyebrows. Look how flat across that eyebrow is. See how it goes up a little bit and goes back down on the eyebrow? Pretty accurate. And the scowl, if I do a side by side view, the scowl sticks out just the same amount as on this. But what I have noticed is these undercuts need to be a little bit deeper, but I can't do that without changing the entire cheek, and I don't want to do that. So, but we're only talking about maybe a 16th deeper, so it's not worth changing the entire lower face to fix that issue. It really isn't. Not when I've got it looking the way it looks. It looks really amazing. This really is. Yeah, this looks really good. I mean, I'm really happy with this sculpture. I'm just trying to give you my perspective of what I think is important to capture the true essence of Michael Myers. But at the same time, you know, if I were to replicate Nick's, like, see, Nick was nice. Nick Malpagano from Handy Boy Studios was nice enough to give me a heads up. Yo, man, I have this in production, because I was originally aiming to do that cover art mask from Halloween 4 and 5. I was going to do the mask. I was going to do the sculpture as that. That's what I was aiming for. And Nick kind of thwarted me off. He says, "Yo, man," I said, "Yeah, I'm in the middle of producing this mask. I haven't shown any pictures to anybody." He sent me pictures of it, and I said, "Okay, no problem. I won't do it," because when I saw his mask, I thought, now some people don't like it. Some people, and I've got a couple guys on here that have said that to me, but I loved it. And when he showed it to me, I went, "Oh, I will never replicate somebody else's work. We're all trying to copy the original, but as artists, we want to put our own little flavor to it. We want our own little thing about our sculpture, because what's the difference between, well, you know, what makes you want to buy my mask versus somebody else's? You know, you might like this particular thing that this mask gives, you know, the look, and you'll say, "Oh, I definitely like that," and you know, versus somebody else that may not be, you know, not saying it. I'm just saying it's a matter of preference. You know, it just depends on the collector. But know this. This is independent artwork. You're not going to get this for $60, $70, $80, $100, $200, $300. These masks, first of all, once it's test marketed, you know, if, like, say I put it on eBay and I start the bid at my minimum, which would probably be my minimum starting bid would be $400. All right. And if I started at that opening bid at that price, and say, okay, somebody bids at 400, next person comes in, puts 500 on there, next thing you know, it's 600. And I've seen Nick's 13 go as high as $2,700 on eBay. And I went, whoa! I was like, it almost knocked me over. I was like, you got to be kidding me. But that's just test marketing, and what that's telling you is you have a really, really, really nice mask that collectors love. All right. And it doesn't set the price at $2,700. What it's telling you is now you can charge $500 once you're done test marketing. You can charge $500-$600, maybe even $1,000 for your mask. Just depends on how high that bid goes on your test marketing. You know, so that's basically what eBay is for us mask makers. We just test market there to see what the value is of this mask. If people start buying it like crazy, You know, they're one and done, man. We make a mask and we put it on there. I don't have like 15 masks ready at hand for the next one to go up. I'll put one up. It's just like he only puts them up randomly. He doesn't put up a lot of masks on eBay. He'll put one up and, hey, you got a chance to get it. Grab it. You don't get it, oh well. And that's the reason why, is because he's trying to test market his merchandise. And that's the best way to test market it, to see what the collectors actually like about it. If they love it, and you get a lot of collectors seeking your mask, you know, over time. There's like the guy, Nicholas from NAG. Can't remember his last name now. I can't think of the top of my head. But from NAG, he's got like a 2-year waiting list. You want to order a mask from him, it's gonna take 2 years for you to get that mask. All right, and you know, and he's limited. He doesn't sell a lot of masks over the course of the year. They can't really do that because this is copyright material. You know, you can't just, you know, you can sell maybe 20, 30 of these masks a year. That's it. You're not mass producing this mask. You know, so he's only going to sell 30 masks in a year. Even though that he may have 500 orders, he's only going to sell 30 in a year. Maybe 40, I don't know. I don't know what the number is, but I know it's low. So that also deters people from ordering from him, because there's so many people in front of you. And he can only give you there's only so many masks per year that he sells. Because otherwise they're going to come after you, unless he has the copyrights to the mask itself. But, you know, it's like, I don't want to produce the one. You can get the mask, the 2018 and the kills and the tots. That's actually coming from the actual life cast, or the sculpture from the main sculpture of the movie. You're getting an actual movie sculpt. So why change it? Why mess with it? Just buy that mask. You know, you can get it for $60 and then send it off to an artist to have it overhauled, as I should say, and turned into a work of art. But that's not cheap. You know, guys are charging anywhere $300 to $500 to have an overhaul for real good artists to do it. You know, maybe $200 to $500, depending on who's doing it, for an overhaul. You know. But still, then you think about it. Now you've paid, let's say at the highest you paid $400 for your overhaul, or $300. So you paid $360 to have a really accurate movie, accurate mask. You know, movie accurate. So. There's that. The overhauls are another business. I got masks here that I want to overhaul. I've got I have an ends mask that I'm going to do, but they're for my own collection. I don't really want to get into overhauling. It's another market altogether. I don't mind it. I'm so busy trying to get this done. I want to do my own masks first. You know what I mean? Overhaul is something I will do in my retirement when I have the time. I haven't had time to do anything, to tell you the truth, yet. I need to be able to do this full time. That's what I want to do. When I get to doing this full time, then I'll do some overhauls for people and stuff. I'll do the overhauls. But until I'm doing this full time, I'm not doing overhauls. You know, I'm just, you know, you send me a mask and you want it overhauled, boom, I can do it. You know, anyway. That's just, that's where I'm at with that. I got to focus on getting my masks done first. I want to get them done. It's always been a passion. I always wanted to do this. I always wanted to tackle it. You know, get a Michael Myers accurate mask done since I was a kid. I saw this movie in the theaters in 1978. I was 16 years old, and I went with my two girl cousins. And me, like an idiot, what did I do? I sat between them. And that was an interesting night. They literally were huddled up in their chair with their knees into their face, all right, and leaning into me. And every time a jump scene or anytime he started stalking uh, the girls, anytime he was in the scene at all, they dug into my arms in the chair with their nails. And why I'm pointing this out is because right before we went to the movies that night, both my cousins went and got their nails done. And I think they were doing like a vampire thing or whatever, and they were extra sharp. They were extra sharp. I'm not kidding you. When I left the theater, my arms were bleeding. And I'm not exaggerating. My arms had holes all in my, I had arms all over my holes. Holes all in my arm from them digging into me. Scared to cry. I was like, Jesus, I mean, I didn't know who jumped worse, me or them. But when they dug into me, man, you know, eventually when they saw what they were doing, they stopped doing it. But first couple of scares, man, they had me bleeding. I was like, whoa, what the? Oh, man, funny story. But it scared the living crap out of my cousins. I was only 16. They were, I think, both 18 at the time. I forget. In so many years. I forget how many years apart we are. But they were older than me, both my cousins. And but it was fun. It was really fun. We had a good time. A real good time. So there's that. So that pretty much is what drove me all these years. I've always wanted to tackle a really good Michael Myers mask, and that's why I did. That's why I'm doing it. You know. So pretty much that's where I stand with it, and I'm more dedicated to making an accurate, screen accurate mask. Not really screen accurate. It's my version of the 1978, 81. Gives you a little more attitude. There's little hints of other masks that are in this. The flashbacks in it. The original 78's in it. The 1981 is in it. It's got it all. So, and it's got the custom corpses twist that has its own flavor. You know, so if you want this mask, good luck. It'll be on eBay first. I have to test market this to see where it lands. And then from there, we'll know. We will know where it will fall in price range. You know, my thing is, I'm not trying to rob people. I'm not like that. But you also have to remember, I've got 2 years wrapped up into this sculpture. 2 years. Now, if I had done it the right way right from the get-go, it wouldn't have been 2 years. It would have been like maybe 10 months, 5 months, I don't know, 6 months. I am pretty good with my eye, but I can't do it if I don't have the three-dimensional thing in front of my face to really be able to see all the angles. You know, it's a learning curve. There's a lot that has to be, there's a lot. There's a lot of learning to do. And like I said, I've only been doing it for 2 years. Only been doing it for 2 years. I started, this was my first mask right here. And I've had Nick tell me, oh man, don't make that your first mask. This is really hard to do. And he was right. He is absolutely right. It's not easy. And I'm going to say it's not so much the shape of the head or of the features. It's the lack of material out there that is available to you. Although, let me say it this way. Although we have tons of pictures of the original mask, we have basically the same angles of the pictures of the mask. But the key is you have to study those pictures a lot, and you have to look at every, you know, possible way to look at those pictures. And the more you really study it, and the more familiar you get with the mask, the pictures, the easier to sculpt this. So when I jumped into this thing, I'm looking at the pictures and I'm going, oh, okay, it's check marks, you know, check mark cheek, you know. You know, you just weren't looking at all the real details that were there. And it just took time to really learn that those pictures and what I was seeing, versus, you know, doing the sculpture. You know, just I'm getting lethargic. I'm getting tired. Almost time for me to go watch a little boob tube. But anyway, I'm gonna say goodnight. What's up, Asylum? I've been on now for probably a good 2 hours, hour and a half or something like that. What's been happening, buddy? Beyond the Dead, Asylum Beyond the Dead. I've been on. I'm going to upload this video to show you what I did. I worked on the ears a little more to make them more accurate to the original sculpt. I might bring this down just a little bit more. It's a little bit protruding, a little too far out. But that's okay, and I still got to fix this in this area here. This is still not quite right. But I'm getting there. You know, I want to probably October, the beginning of October, within the week, I'm probably going to order my stuff at the end of September, the silicone, to make the silicone master. And I'm just really fine-tuning this thing right now, making sure everything is where it has to be before I make the silicone master. And then when I make the silicone master, I can make multiple heads out of clay from the silicone master. And then I can make the latex, the stone, and I can make the Ultra Cal 30 master copy. And that's my plan going forward. I have to be able to, yeah, I have to be able to make this come to life. I want to probably, my main thing is I have to have one of the masks done in time for my brother. He's going to get one of the big masks. This is the big mask right here, this sculpture. He'll get one of the big ones. And then from there I can shrink this down to a smaller version that will go out for sale, and they will be thin casted masks. They won't be real thick. I thought being thicker would be better, but it's not. You want to be thin casted, because then if you want to do the stretch to the mask, you can. You know, you can make it look like the 81 Halloween 2 just by putting little foam pieces behind the areas where you want it to stretch out a little bit. You know, that kind of thing. But this is really so close to finished. I just need to do the little tiny details that I want to do to this thing, and then from there I'm going to silicone master, then start making masks. The paint scheme's a whole nother animal. Simply evil. You got that right. Thank you for the compliment, Asylum. It's a nice piece. It really is. I think I actually captured like I said, my version of this Michael Myers is a little bit more evil, a little more attitude to it, and it has a mix of the flashback and the lips. It has the eyebrows and scowl. The scowl is from the actual William Shatner life cast. The eyebrows are positioned the way the Halloween poster art 4 and 5. That's the position of the eyebrows. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'm gonna say the ear is also from the poster art of the. It's actually not from the poster art. It's actually, I can show it to you. Matter of fact, I'll get off of here and I'll show you. I'll show you what I'm looking at when I'm sculpting. The picture I'm going off of to capture my ear cuts. Let me do this. I'll turn this to the camera so it's. Well, no, I'm going to turn it back this way so you can see what I'm looking at. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to. I'll actually open this up here. This is the picture. I'm going to take you off the tripod because I'm going to get off of this in a minute anyway. So, okay. This is the picture I'm going off of. Now, don't mind the wire in the way here. Let me zoom out. All right, that's the picture. And that's the actual, oop, I just lost the light. Hold on. All right, so that's the picture. Now I want you to look at the eyebrows, just the eyebrows. All right, you see the shape of those? Look at my eyebrows. All right. All right, now look at the ear, the right ear, this ear here. Look at that ear. Look at my ear. Looking straight on it. It's got the same shape. All right. I'm not actually using the poster art. Now look at the other ear. It's not quite dead on. It's close. It's close. There's a couple of things. I think this is sticking out just a little bit far back here, just a little bit. There's a little bit of a bump there. I got to fix that, and I got to fix the earlobe a little bit. But that is actually Nick Castle. That is not Halloween 2. That is Nick Castle in that mask. What you're looking at there. All right. Nick Castle is the one that's wearing the mask there. I don't know why it's flared out the way it is. From the right angle. Yeah, the flashback in the lips, see? Look how nice and close that is. Muscle texture of the lip in there. Now, these lips and this mask look a lot bigger, you know, but that could also be lighting, it could be shadowing. But those lips that are on this sculpture is actually from a life cast. Now it's not lit right to really see the definite, but those lips are from the life cast. That's actually from the life cast. It's been altered a bit. This mask has been altered. Scowl is definitely on the money. It's hard to explain how I know that the scowl is pretty real close because I've seen this mask in other pictures, and I've actually taken this and put that mask. I've put it in what do you call it? Adobe Photo, whatever the hell it was called. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, Adobe Photo Premiere or whatever, and I put it in there and I put all kinds of different shading. I lit it up more. Like you could do all the shades and you can pull all the shadows out. So I know that this is really, really accurate to that sculpture. You can see the eye cuts are pretty close. Now, why one of my questions, I've been told that this is Nick Castle wearing this mask, right? And why I argue that point is because when Dick Warlock wore this mask, all right, let me point it out to you. All right, you see the bulge and the eye cut right there? That's what happened when Dick Warlock put the mask on. His nose didn't quite fit in this nose. I think his nose was up in here somewhere. I don't know. I can't remember what the hell he said, but I talked to Dick Warlock, and the mask got kind of deformed right in here because of how his face fit in this mask. So I still believe, I was told that this is Nick Castle. I believe that's Dick Warlock underneath that mask. I do. But I'm trying to make this sculpture a combination of H1 and H2. That's what I'm trying to do with the flashback lips. Believe it or not, the flashback lips look really accurate on this sculpture. For whatever reason, my sculpt, and I think I figured out what the reason is now. It's because my eyes are centered to the face. This way. All right, from the chin to the top of the forehead, the eyes fall dead center. All right. The life, the eye cuts are lower. In other words, the eye cuts, he's got more forehead. His forehead's higher. And his lower is from his eye cuts to the chin, shorter. So it gives you this weird, he had a very strange shaped head. He really did. William Shatner did. And I think that's why my lips don't work. If I made them really wide, like if you look at this picture, there's a lot more forehead. All right, I'm going from about here. Look at that. Now it's hard to explain. Maybe because it widened? I don't know. It shortened it. Yes, that's what it was. I think that's what it was. The original Halloween 1978 mask, the Captain Kirk mask, it changed the way it looked because of whoever wore that mask, it gave it a new look. What did you say there? Now, there was no padding in the original mask. They didn't do anything. They didn't add no padding to the mask. Dick Warlock had a very wide head. He had his upper part of his head was very wide. He had a narrow chin. He has a narrow face. But he has a shorter face. His head's short. I mean, I got a picture of me and him together. And man, you can't believe the difference in size of his head versus mine. And it was one of the first thing I noticed. I'm going, oh my God, he's a small guy. He's not a real big guy at all. He's a very tiny guy. I'll show you a picture of me and him. I'll take you out there to the picture real quick, out in the living room. But when I met him, that was the first thing I noticed as an artist. You're going, oh my God, that mask must have been tiny. I don't want to show you through the whole house. I got to completely rework the whole room. I've been tearing things apart. I had it right, and now I'm back to wrong again because of the work that I had to do during the summer months with my other job. So let's do this real quick. I'll just show you the difference. Just take a look at the difference in the size of my head versus Dick Warlock. The size of me versus Dick Warlock. And I'm only 5'10". I'm 5'10". And look how small he looks. Hold on a second. the size of me compared to him. I'm 5'10". I'm big, I'm stocky. But look how small he is. He signed my picture. I gave him a mask. My head's 23 inches. So that mask that he wore in the movie was tiny. That was a tiny mask. So that's what I wanted to show you. So yeah, it's crazy, guys. Yeah, I met him not this past August, but the August before. Monster Mania in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I met him there. The man's, I think he's 82 now. I think he was either 80 or 81. I think he was one when I met him. You just don't know how many years we have to see these guys. So I made it a point to go out and meet him this year. I had to meet him, and I told him, how much of a big fan of his other movies. I knew a lot about him doing his stunts, and he was a stunt coordinator. But I was a little taken back on how small he really was. And that mask must have been really tiny. Well, if it came from the life cast, my head, but when you make a latex mask from that sculpture, from that life cast, it's gonna shrink in size. And it's going to make it very, very small. Yeah, look at all the crap on this thing. I got all my DJ gear sitting here. Just doing a lot. There's an overhaul I did back there of the 78. I have my display there with the flame pumpkin. I've got my original first casting that I did of my first Myers mask there. That sucks. This is the mask that I had autographed right here, centered. And then up top is a Tots ends mask that I'm going to overhaul. And there's a lot that I want to do, during my my retirement years. But I also have to be able to physically do it. So my main thing is get healthy, get as healthy as possible. Let me see if I can see any of your texts. I don't know why they're not coming up on the phone now. It's just something else stupid. All right, let me get a little closer. Yes, that's exactly why you have to oversize your sculpture. Your sculpture has to be at least 2 inches bigger than, like if you measure your head, let's say you come in at 24 inches or 23 inches on your head. Make a mask that fits you like a glove, all right, which the Michael Myers mask isn't supposed to actually fit you like a glove, all right? And the reason why is because you want your eyes to sink back into the mask further. So you don't want the mask tight on your face. It's nothing worse than having your eyeballs popping out of the eye cuts. You have to make that mask a lot bigger because mask latex will shrink up to 2 inches. I've seen it just depending on the brand of latex that you get, I guess, the type of latex. If there's any additives to it, I don't know. Pure latex. It can shrink anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches. All right, so if you have a 23-inch head, I will increase the sculpture to 25 inches. All right, and then that'll count for the shrinkage, and that'll shrink it down to 23 inches. But we don't want the mask to be 23 inches. The same size as my head. I want it because I don't want it to be tight on my face. So I would increase the mask from, like, say my head's 23. I would go 24, 25, 20, possibly 26 inches. 23, 24, 25, 26, 26 or 27-inch sculpture. That's what I want to be. I want to say 26-inch sculpture. If I have a 23, if I have a 24, now we're talking 27 inches. You want a 3-inch this way. If your shrinkage is say an inch and a half to inch and 3/4, you have a mask that fits over your head pretty nicely, and it's not too big, not too small. Now the problem is if you want to make two size masks, like somebody that has a huge head, somebody like my brother, his head's probably like a 20, I want to say 26 inches, 25 inches. His head's 25. I'll say 25 inches in diameter. I have to make a 28-inch sculpture. But when I make the 28, this is a 28-inch sculpture here. All right, so with that sculpture being 28 inches, I can make two versions of this. Now I can make what I'll do is I'll make the first mask, let it shrink up the 2 inches where it needs to be, and then I'll remold that latex mask. I'll foam fill that latex mask that I made from my first mold, and I'll foam fill it, and then let that shrink up completely until it's roughly almost 2 inches smaller. And then what I'll do is I'll recast that in stone, and then I'll pour another mask, and that'll shrink another 2 inches, and that'll bring me down to a small version. So now I'll have two versions of the mask. I'll have a large version and a small that I can sell. A small and a large mask. The large mask is for obviously big guys. My brother's 6'6". He's no little guy, and that's what you do. Yep, that's exactly why. So what happens when they alter the mask too? They also, altered that life cast to make it bigger. They made little changes to it. I think that's what they did do. They smoothed it out more. There's a lot of imperfections that were in his face. I'm talking about William Shatner's life cast. They altered that a little bit for the mask. And interesting. It's just everything's so cool. I love this business because there's a lot of challenges in it. There's really a lot of challenges. So. Yes, there is. But I'm going to jump off of here, guys, because I've got to get something to eat. I had the bar. It's just not enough. I got to get my sugar up. I don't feel too good right now. I'm just really tired. Time to take a nap. Okay. Yeah, the H20. You're talking about the movie H20? The H20. That was with Jamie Lee Curtis and I forget. That was when she first came back into the series for the second time after Halloween 2, the original. I think that was her first visit back to the Halloween franchise. That was the first movie back. And I don't know. I just feel like I'm not a big fan of Jamie Lee Curtis. And I don't mean personally because I don't know her personally, but I just think she's over dramatic. It's just me as an actress. She wouldn't like to hear that, but I'm straightforward. I don't care. I don't hold nothing back. That's just me. I didn't like her in the 2018. I guess I didn't like it being all about her. and her journey. I think I just wish that maybe she died in a car accident, and or whatever, and you know, um, there was no tie. I could have lived with a Michael Myers coming back and starting havoc on a town that he called home, which would be Haddonfield, um, and came back and started rampaging again. But there was no Laurie Strode or no, it was just all new people. That would have been okay with me. That would have been okay with me. I just think that they overemphasized. And Halloween Ends is the worst movie I've ever seen. I have to say that. I'm going to say that straight up. Although the mask is badass. I love the mask in Halloween Ends. It is really cool. I have it. It's a very nice mask. It's really nice. I love that mask. It really has it's different. Different. It's a great concept on what a mask would look like after so much trauma to it. But anyway, Halloween Ends was probably the worst Michael Myers movie made, and it beats on the bad apple chart. It beats Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Season of the Witch. Now, I'm not a big fan of that movie because I was highly disappointed when we went to the theaters and found out it wasn't Michael Myers. When we saw Michael Myers on the TV, Halloween being played in one of the hospital rooms, you instantly knew that, oh my God, they made it look like Halloween was just a movie, and this is completely a different storyline. There is no Michael Myers. And they fooled everybody because they sold it as though that there was going to be Michael Myers, and it never was. There was never a Michael Myers, and it pissed off a lot of people in the theater. So that was never one of my favorite movies. But if I watch the movie as a standalone movie, it's actually pretty cool. But Halloween Ends, absolutely horrible. The worst possible thing they could have done. End it that way. That was just terrible. If they don't redeem themselves by bringing back bringing him back somehow, some way, he didn't die. I don't know how you can do it. Rewrite it, start a new timeline, whatever you got to do, but you got to get rid of that movie. That movie was junk. I hated that movie. Oh my God, it was horrible. The acting was bad. Just everything was bad in that movie. Didn't like it. The storyline was stupid. I didn't like it. Not a little bit. It felt like there was just too much drama with Jamie Lee Curtis. I couldn't stand it. Couldn't stand it. Could not stand it. And I don't like this mob mentality either. I didn't like none of that part of that movie. I didn't like any of that. You just watched all the riots and everything that took place over the years. Yeah, the character, I just wish they would I don't want her to come back. I want her to just be killed off, call it a day. Start a whole new line of, if you're going to rewrite the timeline, that's all you have to do to fix everything. You rewrite, you end it, you bring the movie back at the very end of Kills. Kills, I thought, was an excellent movie. I enjoyed Kills. I liked it better than 2018. And I think the common denominator between 2018 and Ends was Jamie Lee Curtis. In Halloween Kills, she was in the hospital. And there wasn't much story going on with her. She was just trying to recuperate. I think you want to bring it back as Halloween Ends and Michael Myers goes into the hospital. They evacuate the hospital, but somehow, some way, Jamie Lee Curtis is still in there. Maybe she was unconscious. She was put in a bad spot. Nobody knew she was there, whatever. I don't know, however you got to do it. And kind of bring it back to that feel of the original 1981 Halloween 2. all right, and bring it back to where he's stalking her in the hospital and it's vacant. Or no, you know what you do? You transport her into a different hospital because Michael was coming for her or whatever, and they wanted to get her out of there, and they transported her to another hospital that was basically empty, nobody there, very minimal, very small security. That would be cool. That'd be a cool timeline. And no, what I'm getting at with the story is to the hospital. He kills her off right away. He finds her and kills her in the beginning of the movie. Give her a real horrible death. End her storyline. Or in the new timeline, tell the story, do a backstory of when they transported her to this hospital. He killed her, whatever. I don't know. I think that you kill her off in the very beginning of the movie, and now he's in the hospital stalking other people. I don't know. That would be cool. It'd be different. You know what I mean? And you'd have that spookiness, of the original Halloween. I loved Halloween 2. I actually liked Halloween 2, 1981, better than Halloween 1 as a storyline. I don't know. There was something about that movie. Now, John Carpenter had to come back and do a lot of rewrites and a lot of, changes to the original editing. He had to re-edit that movie to make sense of it, because the original edit, I saw the original edit of that movie that I can't remember, Rick Rosenthal actually put out. It was horrible. And it was really bad. There was no continuity to he was all over the place. You couldn't tell where he was at. The storyline was bouncing all over the place. It just had no direction at all. It was horrible. So they called John Carpenter back in to re-edit the movie, and it was great what he did to it. Yeah, I guess you are a little surprised that I like I liked Halloween 2 better than 1. And it's because I like that creepiness. I like the fact that Michael seemed more of a zombie type of dead. He's already been shot 6 times. He's not, it takes the human element out of it. So what's driving him? And it's true. Michael Myers is like a Frankenstein. He really is. He's like a Frankenstein. And he has no mercy, no nothing. He's just driven to kill. That's all he does is kill, kill, kill. There's no backstory to it. There's nothing. He's pure evil. And that's what Michael Myers is. And that's what John Carpenter tried to tell everybody that's what he is. And I think that's why Halloween 2 was as good as it was, is because it showed that he was just plain evil. No mercy, no nothing. Didn't matter who it was. And to do that with this new concept, because he was merciless in these new series, like the 2018 Kills and Ends. He didn't give a damn whether you were a kid or you were, killed kids as well. Nobody likes to see kids die on camera. It's not a cool thing. I get that, and I don't really want to see it. But you have to show that he doesn't care. You have to show that there's an evilness about him. Just don't show the kill. Find the kid dead, whatever. You find him dead. But, I just feel like if they could have redone Halloween 2, the timeline would have been so cool. I was praying that that's what they were going to do with Halloween Ends, was bring in the hospital, bring back that whole feeling, and do some cameos with like the actors that played Lance Guest, Leo Rossi. That would have been cool, having them guys come back into the... Yeah, well, and that showed weakness. It was willing to team up with somebody. To me, that was stupid. Team up with somebody. No, that brings the human element back to it. And Jesus Christ, he's been stabbed with a pitchfork. He was shot, I don't know how many times, knifed. I mean, how many times was he shot in this movie? You know, he wasn't human. By the time uh, Halloween Kills ended, you knew that he wasn't human because nobody could have withstood what he went through there with the pitchfork, the shot, all the bullet holes that were in him. Nobody lives through that. Nobody lives through that. You either bleed to death or I'm sorry, nobody lives through that. So they've already taken the human element out of it. So now all of a sudden they let somebody else come in and, just because he worships him or whatever. That sounded so stupid. The storyline was dumb. It was dumb in Halloween Ends. I hated it. Didn't like it a little bit. They just need to refresh the franchise. They're going to have to rewrite that. Like that ends never happened. They're going to have to, whoever comes back is going to have to write that away like it never happened. Just like they did in 1981. They got rid of Halloween 2 in 1981 in the new timeline. They picked up right off of Halloween 1. I think to bring Halloween 2, 1981, back into the fold, you bring it back into the next storyline. Like the next movie could be that Halloween original 1981 Halloween 2, and then start that storyline from there and give it the same elements that it had in the original, with the spooky, like stalking and the dark corridors and not a lot of people on the floor. You didn't have all these people in the hospital. It was a little town wherever she was shipped off to, thinking maybe he couldn't find her. And even if Jamie Lee Curtis is in there and she's trying to get away or whatever, I don't mind if she's in there as long as they don't overemphasize, like, he gets all his other kills too at the same time. I'm not saying that you have to kill off Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't like her, but the perfect ends would have been a 1981 remake, not quite remake, but redo. That would have been the ideal way to end ends. And then have him die in a fire where they burnt the hospital down or whatever. I don't know. They tried to burn him in Halloween Kills. That didn't work. He doesn't die. You just make him constantly escape. He just gets away all the time. That's the way. You don't kill Michael Myers. You don't. That's just a rule. Just a rule. Just like you don't kill Jason. He always comes back. So that's just my thoughts. Can't kill Frankenstein. Well, learn their lesson. Did they learn their lesson? I don't know. I mean, do they care? Uh, I mean, I don't know how many. I didn't really pay attention to how many people really hated that movie. I just know I hated it. Um, I didn't see. I mean, the box office numbers. Did they make money? I mean, I think they made money in the very first weekend, but then I'm sure it dropped off when people started to realize it was a shit movie. Um, do I know how? No, I don't really know. So I don't know. I just feel like it's not my favorite movie. That's for sure. It's the worst of. It's the worst one of. And I'll take any one of. And I'm not a fan of his movies. I mean, the original, the 2007 Rob Zombie's movies. I'll take both of his movies over that Halloween Ends. Halloween Ends is the worst movie in the franchise. That is the worst movie in the entire franchise to me. It really is. So I won't own it. I won't seek it. I will never watch it again. I thought it was horrible. But I love The Mask. The Mask was a home run. Yeah, that's just my opinion. And I'm 61 and I've been around. I was a kid when Halloween, the original, came out. The one thing that say that the element that they missed in this from 2018 and ends. Uh, they lost Michael's perspective. In other words, his point of view. They didn't show him stalking people and watching people through his eyes. And that's one element that they really screwed up. And if they ended this right, man, and they brought that Halloween 2001, the stalking, yeah, that's what made Michael Myers really creepy because I think about Halloween 1. He sees the girls walking down the street towards him, and he steps out behind the bush, and they see him. And Jamie sees him. And he steps back in behind the bushes and then disappears. Blah, 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 blah. She gets into the house, goes up into her room, and boom, he's in her yard. And he's looking right at her. How did he know to go to that yard to look at her and knew that she was going to look out that window? That was creepy. Just like the school scene when she was looking out the window and across the street behind the window. That's an element of creepiness that is unexplainable. How would he know that she was sitting there? You know, they're the elements that make it creepy. All right. None of that's there. None of that is there. The point, the Michael's point of view was definitely lost. Even if you're showing from behind his shoulder, like when Jamie first dropped off the keys in Halloween 1978. She dropped off the keys to the Michael Myers house. She walks down the sidewalk, and all of a sudden he stops. He steps out onto the sidewalk, and you see his shoulder. You don't see the mask. You just see his shoulder. And you hear his breathing, looking at her. That was creepy as shit, man. That was creepy. That freaked out my cousins. That made my arms bleed that night, you know. Yes, Rob Zombie, I have to give him that. He have him talking, and his point of view was shown but not very often. You know, not very often. They just need to do a lot more of that. And the thing about Michael Myers that people misunderstand too is his uncanny ability to almost know where you're going to go, and he'll be there before you're there. You know, that was one of the things that was unexplainable. And you know, whether you're going home, he happens to be in your yard, he knows you're walking down the street, he sees you last, he's driving down the car, and hey, creep, you know what I mean? You hear that, and he slides, comes to a screeching halt, and the girls continue on walking, and then they split apart. I think Linda was the first one that disappeared, and then it was Jamie and the other girl walking down the street. Jamie sees Michael stepping out from behind the bush, or actually sees him standing there, stepped out behind the bush, then steps back in so she can't see. Walk up, he disappears. Next thing you know it, the next scene is getting into the house, going up into her bedroom. She looks out the window, and there he is standing right at her, looking straight at the window, like he knew that was her room. How did he know that? You know, they're the elements that make it creepy. You know, a lot of people don't get that about Michael Myers, including the people that rewrote this movie. Uh, yeah, like I said, you know, I don't know if there's any more new text. I don't know if I don't get me wrong. I do like Halloween 2018. I liked it. I didn't love it. I loved Kills. I did like Kills because it was more about Michael really just going on a rampage and just killing people. And that was that was what Michael is. That should have happened from 2018. They should have never made it about Laurie Strode. Him going after just her. That was, fuck. He's going to show up to her house. I don't just I didn't buy it. I mean, just didn't. I didn't want it to be about him stalking Lori. He's out to get the other. Then it ties it into the sister. They got rid of the sister thing. They got rid of that purposely in the storyline, and then turn around and okay, so now give us the explanation of why he's stalking her still. And I don't know. Ends was supposed to be. It was never Michael trying to get after Laurie Strode. Well, that's awful ironic. They're all chasing after Michael. I don't know. I just don't know. I didn't like it. I hated Ends. I loved Kills. I loved Kills because of Michael himself. He was the star in that movie. And the other thing too is honestly, in all three of those movies, Michael was the star. Jude Courtney. Oh, come on. No, I can't think of his name. I'm so lethargic now. I'm tired. Jude Courtney. Jude Courtney. Whatever his name is, that played Michael Myers. He was phenomenal. I have to say, and I'm biased. I love Nick Castle, but he was better than Nick Castle. He was the best Michael Myers that ever played the role. I really believe that. James Jude Courtney, that's it. Thank you. He was the best Michael Myers that ever played the role in my mind. And I love the fact that they gave Nick Castle a cameo. I hated the cameo that he had in Halloween Ends, where they just showed Nick Castle in real life. And it was weird. It was just weird. Let him be Michael Myers because that's who he is. If you're going to do a cameo of Nick Castle, he's got to be Michael Myers. But Nick Castle's in his 70s now. He's not a young man. So, but I still think James was the best Michael Myers in the history of the franchise. Definitely. Brutal. He was brutal. He captured every little movement, the way he would turn and look at somebody. Just instant creepiness, just his movements. He really had the Nick Castle walk down. He had everything about Nick Castle. He had that look. And he even had a little touch of Dick Warlock in scenes. The scene that comes to mind is when he's stabbing the guy on the countertop. When the guy gets, when he stabs that woman in the throat, kills. And he takes the knives and he's looking at them, and just look at his head movement. Look at the movements. Grab a knife, shoom. Another knife, shoom. No hesitation. No, that's the one thing about Michael. He doesn't hesitate. There's no hesitation. He doesn't look at somebody and go, "Oh, what do I do here?" No. He's the minute seeing him, it's you're dead. There's no second thought. You're dead meat. I think the one thing in Halloween 2 that always I question is when he went into the Elrod house, the Elrods, the old people. And back in them days, you didn't kill old people on camera. You didn't do it. So I get that. But if you think about it, he went in, he grabbed the knife next to the big piece of ham. All right. Why didn't he kill her? He just walked up behind her and just stabbed her. He didn't do that. He grabbed a knife, seen that they weren't paying attention. She was not paying attention to him, and he just went back out. He got what he wanted. He got the knife. So I get that. And back in those days, you didn't want to see old people getting killed. That's just as bad as seeing a kid getting killed. Just not good territory. It's not where it's like in Halloween 2. Remember the kid that came in that had the razor blade in his mouth? Whatever happened to him? Where was he at? Did he get seen, treated, and then out the door he went? You know, they could have killed him in there. Yeah, he killed the neighbor because the neighbor was a young teenager girl, not too young, but a teenager girl, and just randomly went in there and actually stalked her. Was looking at her through the window, and then she stepped outside. I know these movies by heart. Steps outside, after hearing the Elrod woman scream, the old lady scream, "Mr. Elrod, you okay?" Blah, 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 blah. And he's standing there right there looking at her. And then she goes back inside and he moves over to the window to see where she's at. Then he walks around the front of the house, walks in the front door. It sounded like a pipe dropping on the floor, but a pipe dropped on the floor. And then she went into the room and right in the throat. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that didn't make sense to me a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, why didn't you kill the old lady? You wouldn't have had anybody scream. But then I guess it didn't set up the scene good. So I don't know. Funny stuff. Funny stuff. Yep. I mean, I know these movies pretty well. I don't know the 18 as well as I only seen it once or twice. He walked into the house for the girl when he killed her in her living room, it looked like. When he jumped up and he stabbed her in the throat from behind the couch, it looked like. Yeah, that's a jump scare. That got me too. Got a lot of people, especially in the theater. See, the thing about I love going to a theater and seeing it. When you see it at home, you don't get the same effect. And I'll tell you why. The theater, the music, the effects, everything is so loud. All right, so when you hear that ding, that stinger, man, it feels like you're getting electrocuted. I mean, it makes you jump so loud, so hard. Now, if you sit home and you crank up and you got a good sound system with lots of bass and you turn that sound system up in a horror movie, you're going to get that same effect. Turn them lights down. If you're going to watch a horror movie, don't do it at low volume, especially if it's got jump scenes and stuff like that, because you're not going to get the full effect you do in a theater. So that's the one thing I always miss. I watch it at home. I can't really turn the volume up too loud because it wakes up my wife or wakes up the kids. It's like, I want to crank this shit up. You know what I mean? And watch it. Yeah. Watch it the way it's supposed to be watched. Yep. It does make a difference. And that's why I think it's still special, but theaters are lower resolution now. You're not getting that 4K, 8K. You're not getting all that now. So you don't get that projection. I think they've improved it a lot. And honestly, it's a 35 millimeter shot. I have the 4K version of Halloween 1 and 2, 1978. But the resolution is still not as good as a today's standard 4K movie. Not even close. Still good quality. Don't get me wrong, it's still good quality, but it's still not as good as the new movies. The resolution's incredible. The detail that you can see with those 4K. I don't like 8K TVs because one, the power consumption on them is really high. Shoot your electric bill straight through the roof. 4K is good enough for me until they do something about the power consumption of the 8Ks. But that's just me. So, yeah, I've talked quite a bit here on this subject. Yeah, that was a good jump scene in Halloween 2, the bedroom kill. Him jumping up and stabbing her in the throat. That was a good jump scene. I think it was the best jump scene. It was better than anything in Halloween 1. Halloween 1 was more creepy because of his stalking. he stalked better. You know, he didn't have the jump scenes. He had a few, but you didn't have the amount of jump. Like, you know, even when his jump scenes, like the scene where he comes at the top of the steps, where he comes out from the shadows, you know, and he comes into, and all of a sudden you can see him slowly come into visual with the blue light. And all they did was they had a dimmer on a blue light, and they brought the dimmer up to show him, you know, behind Jamie Lee Curtis. That was creepy. That wasn't a jump scene, but it was creepy. Um, was there any jump scenes in Halloween 1? Yeah, there was one. There was a couple. There was one where Dr. Loomis was up in Michael Myers, the sheriff, and that it looked like a door handle came smashing through the window. Why a door handle was out there on the outside of the glass is weird, but that's besides the point. Um, that was one jump scene, and then the other jump scene was in Halloween 1, 78. What was I thinking? Damn, what was it? What was it? Halloween 1 jump scene. Damn it. I just thought of it. I couldn't think of it in my head. Oh, when Michael stepped out, when Jamie Lee Curtis went to drop off the keys to the house, and he stepped out behind the door looking through the glass at her dropping off the keys. And it was the, you know, that noise, that the sound effect combination of him stepping out. Had everybody jumping in the theater. It scared the shit out of everybody. Really did. You think it was subtle. You know, you're watching it at a low volume on your TV. That's not scary. You turn that volume up, man. That same, if you've never seen it, will scare the living crap out of you. And it's funny, if you watch reaction videos, I've seen reaction videos, people, you know, those jump scenes work effectively. Scares the living shit out of them every time. Although you turn the volume down and it's not a scary movie at all. So between the I want to say the sound effects, the music. If you take those two elements out of that movie, that is not a scary movie at all. Try watching it silently. You'll die. You won't believe how dumb the movie seems. You hope the next movie it's a sequel to H2. Well, I wanted that to be the ends. I was hoping that they was going to do the sequel to the original, bring it back to the original 1981. But they didn't, and they completely just, what the hell were they thinking? You know, I mean, did everybody have COVID when they were writing that Halloween Ends? They're just brain dead. You know, I don't know what the hell, you know. Maybe they're sugar dropped just like mine and I can't speak very well. I don't know, man. It's just, you know. You know, maybe they let Biden write the script. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't need to go there. I don't want to go political. I don't want to get into politics. I really don't. But just funny. I just thought of it and thought it was pretty funny. Anyway, yeah, some good stuff. Yeah, leaving Jamie Lee Curtis out of it. You can, but you have to kill her off. There has to be, at some point, we have to kill her. And do you do it at the beginning of the movie? Or do you do it like during the course of the middle of the movie? Do you do it at the end of the movie? And finally give us what we want. Michael lives, Jamie dies. That's the way it should have been. Not Jamie lives and Michael dies. That sucked. That was like, what are you kidding me? You can't kill this thing. He's pure evil. But Miss Goody Two Shoes gets to live? I don't get that. I don't buy that. Not me. Not me. Nope. No, it was a bad ending. Like I said, I think they had Biden write that script. I really do. There would have been more comprehensive even. Yeah, it was terrible. Yep, yep. I need more water. I need some water, guys. I talk too much. I'm been too much here. Man, I don't even know how long I've been on. I've been on for quite a bit. I'm not going to be on much longer though, because I have to get to bed. I'm tired. Water, just the way I like it, wet. How many people are on here still? 6 people. My God, where are you guys all? You're all listening to me yap, huh? Joe, hold on. Let me go back. Yeah, Joe. Come in my vision. Joe Reese. Joe Reese. Yeah, how you doing, buddy? I haven't been on in a while. I've been. There was just no content that I could work on. I pretty much finished the sculpture. Just tweaking it right now with making the ear shapes right. Um, but getting the texture right. Got to get everything right, and then I'm going to silicone mold it. And because I don't work in the summertime, I didn't have that extra cash to do anything. So um, I need to be able to more. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can go. All right, I just think that if they want to do another timeline, pick it up from where Halloween kills ends, not ends. Halloween kills. Right after that ends, pick it up from that timeline and take it to the 1981 original Halloween 2. That would have been amazing. That would have been an amazing ending to the series. And I would have never killed off Michael Myers. I would have killed Jamie Lee Curtis in Ends. And Ends would have been based around, let's just say you take Jamie Lee Curtis, because that hospital that she was at was a nut house. There was too many people there. So you couldn't have shot that movie with a creepy surrounding. So what if what if she gets transported to another hospital because they fear Michael is after her? All right. And we can stay with that storyline. You can say, yeah, Michael's still really after her to finish the job. She killed off her daughter at the end of Kills, and now he wanted to go finish the job. But Michael, I mean, he goes to this hospital, kills a lot of people, finds out that Jamie was transported. This is just my concept. This is my idea. And I'm thinking out loud. I'm thinking off the cuff. Jamie Lee Curtis got transported to another hospital, maybe a high secure hospital. I don't know, but barely any people there. More just security, more nursing and staff, but not the amount of people that were at that other hospital where she was at. Keep that to a minimum, and she goes off to some little town that's right out on the outside of Haddonfield. That's a real small hospital. He goes and finds out where she's at, and he goes there. And now you can bring back that element of Halloween 1981, the original Halloween 2, 1981. That would be really cool. Halloween 5. Really I didn't like anything beyond the H1 and H2. The H1 and H2 is the same mask. I did like the 18. I love the new sculpt. 18 ends and kills mask. They were great masks. All 3 of them are great masks. because it gives you that original feel of the original Shatner. That's what I any of those other masks in Halloween 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, whatever, how many, 20. I didn't even like 20. I thought they were all clowny looking. They had high eyebrows, painted eyebrows. Mask was too white. Just didn't look good. And that's just my opinion. I'm not gonna knock what you like. You like what you like, and that's why, you know, we all have opinions, and I'm not trying to. I just This is my opinion only. I'm sorry, that's my diabetic reminder beeper. The Kills mask, I mean, it's actually a little bigger. I have all three of the masks. I have the Kills, I have the 2018, which, oh yeah, I'll show you that because I am going to paint that. I've got it, hold on, let me, there it is right there on the table. I stripped it of its hair, I stripped it of all of its paint. There's still a little bit of paint inside the cracks and stuff, but I'm going to overhaul that. I've got a head mannequin inside of that thing, so I'm going to take that out of there. As a matter of fact, I want to get that out because it's styrofoam. I don't want it to harden up. But I'm going to overhaul that mask into the new, you know, I'm going to paint it up, make it look good. Up there, my Kills mask I've turned into the fire mask, and that's out on my out front where my TV is. I have that out on display, the fire mask. And all it is the Halloween Kills mask painted up to look like the mask looked in the fire when he was in the fire. And the orange hair, pretty cool looking. Anyway, I did that. I got the hiccups now. Jesus. It's one thing about the Ozempic that I'm on. It does something to your digestive system to make you not hungry. And I get the hiccups a lot more often than I ever did. Yeah, you know what? Send me, if you can, send me, add me as a friend on Facebook, Joe. I can't really criticize the mask as far as critique it because I'm not really, I don't really follow the details in that mask. I'm having a hard enough time just doing this sculpture. I don't want to really critique anybody's work. No, that's not my thing. But you can send me through, we'll become friends on Facebook. Look me up under John Hickman, parentheses DJ Styles with two Y's, John Hickman, Hickman, and look up DJ Styles in parentheses, DJSTYYLES in parentheses, and add me as a friend on Facebook, and I'll, in Messenger you can send me private, pictures of what you're doing. I don't recommend. Well, you can't really do anything on YouTube unless you're doing it on your channel, putting pictures up or anything that you're working on. But through Messenger you can, And Nick Malpagano from Handy Boy Studios, he sends me pictures of stuff that he's working on and stuff every once in a while, and he's pretty private. He's a private guy too. No, I'm not really a fan of the Rob Zombie mask either. I don't think there's any mask better than, for me, don't take this personal. For me, the only mask that really I like are the Shatner looks, the Shatner look. I have to stick with that Shatner. I like the original. I like the original H1 and H2, even though they look different because different people wore them. I love that mask. I'm my rule, and I do love the 2018, and I mean love. I love the 2018 and
I love the kills, and I love the ends, and I also love the flashback. I love the flashback. They did such a great job with that. He really did. Um, I just, but it captures that original look of the actual Shatner. Uh, it does. It captures that look. It really does. And the trick is the eyes. I think the face, the shape of the head, the shape of the face, the non-expression of the lips is the key to a good Myers. Now, this is a 2018 back there. Hold on, let me zoom in. That's an overhaul that I did. I gotta pull it out. I gotta fix the hair a little bit. It got mussed up a little bit. Let me pull it out. Now, I overhauled this. It's got the flesh tones underneath the chin. Let me turn it up into the light so you can see. See? Yep. The hair's a little too thick. I'm gonna have to comb the hair out a little bit. It's a little too much up in this area and on the sides. I need to thin that down, and that just means I just got to brush it out more. But I have it kind of matted up and pretty gnarly. The hair that I used was I think it was Icelandic hair. It's an actual wool, and it gives you those thick fibers, true thick fibers. And people ask me, well, what do you think of the original mask? Well, the original mask, the way they painted the original mask, there was 2 interviews. The first interview that I seen was years ago on, I think it was the 2020 or the 25-year anniversary interview. And he talked about how he developed the mask and everything. And he painted it with a fish belly white. All right. And fish belly has a blue tint to it, very, very mild. It almost looks gray, but it's not. It's a cobalt blue added to the white. Instead of black to create a little bit of gray, you're adding cobalt blue, but very, very little. And what it does is it gives it this glowy, it doesn't look gray, but it actually looks like it's glowing a little bit, like the paint glows. It has more of a glowy look, and that's because it has that touch of blue that's in there, like a fish has in its white. There's a fish belly white is actually a touch of like blue, and it's cobalt blue, and I make my own color of that, and I call it the fish belly white, and I use that on the original mask. That's my plan, is to use that color for the originals. So that's the Trick or Treat Studios 1978 mask that I overhauled. That's supposed to look like the stretch mask, the Nick Castle stretch. And it's taken from the balcony scene. That's when they made this look like the balcony scene. And my mask right there, the one with the little, what's it, Haddonfield Memorial Hospital nurse hat that's on top of it. That's made to look like a cross between H1 and H2. It's painted to the H2 Halloween 2 paint scheme. That mask is signed by Dick Warlock and Lance Guest, Leo Rossi, and that's my paint scheme for the H2, is that yellowish, grayish look. I ordered Halloween white latex from Monster Makers. Yeah, now what you want to do Like, I'll tell you the best mask paint. I don't care what anybody says. It's the best out there. I got some right here. Hold on, let me show you. Oh, I gotta hang on to my balance here before I fall. This stuff, man, it's so nice. It's really, all right, here we go. This is the stuff. Nightshades. All right, that's the stuff here, right? This is where you can get this at Nightmare Toys. And this one is actually called, Zombie Flesh Medium. This stuff, now that's the price of this stuff. Now this is 16 ounces, $15.99. But boy, that stuff is really good. Man, that stuff is really nice. It dries and it gives you a really nice. I figured out what they do with this stuff. This is pure mask latex, and what they do is they add acrylic paint to it. All right, but you got to be careful on how much you add to get your color right. And it's a mix and match. You got to add a little white, little yellow, little this, little that, to get your shades the way you want them. But for $15.99, and this will last me a long time, these nightshades. But I use this color for a base coat for the ends mask. That's going to be the base coat. This color right here. Looks a little darker on camera. It's a little lighter than this. It's a little lighter than what it's showing here. I'm looking at the two compared, one on camera and one off camera. It's hard to, it looks more yellow in the video. It looks a lot milder, creamy. Looks more like cream off camera. It's like my hand looks tanner than it actually is. Yeah, so this stuff is awesome. And motion picture effects, this stuff here is Mabry. It's just good stuff. This stuff's amazing. Yep. If you want to order a good latex paint, I tried doing the house paint thing. The house paint. What I'm saying is making the 3-part mix and making your own paints using 1 part mask latex, 1 part house paint, flat interior latex paint, and 1 part distilled water. I don't like the way it feels on a mask. There's not enough latex in it. You're going to use a lot more latex. I don't add no distilled water to my mask paint anymore. If I'm going to make mask paint, like this bottle up here, that dark brown, that flesh tone right there, that is pure latex. There's no water added to that. All right. And it's just pigment, or not pigment, but I added acrylic art paint to it, and to get the tone. And that tone's a little too dark. I have to lighten that tone up a little bit. So I have to add some white to that. That's what I'm going to have to do. But I want to add acrylic white, pure acrylic paint, not latex, no house latex paint. It just doesn't, I don't know, there's something about it. It makes the paint job feel dry. It's hard to explain. My masks that are painted with that, it just feels too dry. I don't like the texture that it leaves the mask. But I'm going to jump off of here, guys. I want to thank you for watching and listening to me, because we didn't really accomplish too much. We talked about the movies. We talked about the different masks that are out there. Now, I've never had the latex from Monster Makers. I'm sure it's good because I love the Monster Makers clay. But I definitely don't like to make my own paint anymore. I stopped doing that. And I got all this paint up there that I got to get rid of, because all this is homemade paint from the 3-part combination of house latex paint, distilled water, and matte latex. And I just don't like the way it feels on the mask. It's like this is actually the cobalt blue mixed with white with mask latex, and that gives you the what do you call it, blue, or fish belly white. That's what that is, and that's cobalt blue that's right next to it, pure blue. That'll add to the white to give me the mix that I want. I go through a lot of the white because that's your base coat. That's your base coat to the mask. So, but anyway, I'm going to jump off of here, guys. I thank you for watching. Hit the likes if you like the content. Hit subscribe, please. I need more subscribers. I'm growing this channel. It's slowly but surely growing. I'd like to be retired and making a little bit of income from this channel as well. But I thank all you guys for hanging out with me and jumping on when you see me come on. It's like, I don't need 1,500 people on it. It's better when you have less people because you can talk to you more directly. I don't have to go crazy trying to read all those posts in one shot. It's like, oh my God, you miss them. Because if I see people that are posting like constantly in some other streams that I've watched, and it's like, how the hell do you keep up with that? No, you can't. So what happens is, it's like Alan Hops. He has a lot of people posting on his, people posting comments. So he has somebody that actually just reads off the comments to him while he's working. And that's what if I get to that point, I'll have to do the same thing. I'll have somebody just sitting there reading the comments as they pop up. And then I can answer the comments. But I have to move on quickly when you have that many people. You can't just sit and talk to somebody like I'm doing right here. But I want to grow the channel where I'm at that point too, But I do want to answer all the comments. I don't want to have to keep looking over while I'm working. That's one of the reasons why I kind of stopped working, because, I started getting hit with all the comments. See all the comments up here? So you get hit with the comments and you got to start reading them, and you're taking your eye off the ball. And you can't do that when you're sculpting. You have to really keep your eyes focused on what you're doing. You can't take it. You can't walk away, come back, walk away, constantly like that, because you won't get nowhere. Because you'll lose your train of thought of wherever you were and what you were trying to do, and all of a sudden forget to do it. And then you're going, oh my God, I have to do this. And you go back and do it. So you kind of like take time out and you just go, okay, let me focus on the work. So I'm going to start uploading videos too, instead of just having lives, because lives, I'm doing that for you guys. The videos are where you make your money. You have to upload videos. Lives, you don't make any. You can't make money with live. There is no way to make money doing live broadcast. They want the videos, so you have to do a video, edit it, put it up, and then that's the best way to do it. So my plan is, when I'm fully retired, is I'm going to do 2 videos a week. One's going to be a live, and one's going to be a regular, just a uploaded video of whatever project I'm working on. So, all right, peace. See you on the next time. And I should be up in the next couple of days. I'll do another video. All right, I'll see you. Bye.